everybody. Welcome to our late night spooky game, Deep Dark Deathlike. This is a game by Taylor, who is also running for us. It's a fun, interesting game. I'm really excited to play it. Yeah, we can just go around and introduce ourselves and then let Taylor have control. I'm Katie. I use she/her pronouns. Dingo, what about you?
I'm Dingo. I use she/her pronouns as well.
David.
Hi, I'm David. I use he, him pronouns.
Summer.
I am Summer. I use she/her pronouns.
And last but not least, Taylor.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I use he, him pronouns.
It's your floor. It's your game.
Oh,
go, buddy.
And then
Take
it's me.
this and run.
All right. So we are playing Deep Dark Deathlike, which is a game of my design. It is inspired by the cosmic horror, body horror, and existential horror. The sort of idea that the universe is infinitely more powerful than human comprehension could ever grapple with. And it's not about fighting monsters. It's about living in a world where monsters that don't even realize you exist. For this particular session that I have subtitled The Life Art Infinitum, which is a reference to like life is a reflection of art is a reflection of life, and so on and so forth, is inspired by the kind of the surrealist art movement, absurdism as a philosophy, and generally not being able to tell the difference between fiction and reality, which is the kind of existential menace that you will be blighted by. The way this game works is in 3 phases. The first phase is character creation. So none of you have your characters yet. We get to design them in what's called the campfire phase. We take turns telling stories about the characters. Since there's 4 of you, I found that if these aren't like, each one isn't kept to like 4 to 5 minutes, this game can last for hours. And once you have created all of your characters and decided their backstory, decided how they got to where they are now, determined all of their stats, of which you have a fair amount, you surrender your character sheets to me, and you no longer have access to them. And for the rest of the game, the next phase, which is the night phase, you make rolls, and then you let me know whether you think they passed or failed. If the roll, if you say the roll passed and it did, you successfully do the thing. If you say the roll passed and it did not, you successfully immediately do the thing with consequences as if it were a failure to follow. So you can scrape by to finish what you absolutely needed to do, but with consequences. If you say it fails, regardless of whether it succeeded or fails, it fails. There are some mechanics that exist that kind of tweak and change your stats depending on how you interact with the world. So it's a little bit memory retention, and you're not supposed to be able to remember everything, and that's kind of the point. It's a little bit of a gambling game.
Because I can't remember anything.
Yes. And as your characters make these decisions, you slowly tumble further into the darkness, and the inability to keep track of your stats is representative of your character's inability to keep track of themselves as they are confronted with this infinite unknowable. You might not all make it, but hopefully you all as players are okay and satisfied with the ending. We're not necessarily looking for tragedy in the modern sense, more as tragedy in the like Greek sense of maybe I'll die, but we have a good sense of closure. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, so that is my preamble. Let me pull up my rules because I know how to run my own game. And this is my shameless plug that I'm sure I'll get at the end, but you can get it on Gumroad. That is gum.co/deathlike. And it's pretty cheap, I think. It's like $5. Yeah, so let me read the little preamble that I have. Assuming Adobe Reader doesn't crash on me. There we go. Okay. There is a great darkness. It is the void behind closed eyes. It is the nothingness beyond the periphery. It is the infinite emptiness of the universe. There is no escape from this great darkness. There is no hope but the delay of the inevitable. All will dissolve into darkness. So darkness is what we generically refer to as the menace of any given session. It could be aliens, it could be demons. In this case, it is the blurring of art and reality. That's the sort of generic theme, but we start a little bit sooner than that. You each have access to your own character sheets, and you can kind of keep track of your stats there. I was a bad GM and did not paste your stats all in there, but I could probably do so quickly if you want, or I could tell you about them, and if you have Roll20 open, you can tappy. Is that okay on tappy, guys?
Yeah,
Yes, we
I
can.
don't. Where do I put? Where does it matter where I put them on here?
No, not really. I just figure in the
Put
In
it
the
in the bio
abilities?
section.
yeah.
Oh, in the bio section.
fine.
Oh,
yeah.
just okay.
Just like text edit. There are no custom sheets, and I'm bad at macros. Is that what they're called? I can't code.
Roll20. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have the leap skills.
Don't worry about it.
And okay, so there are a total of 9 stats.
Mm-hmm.
There are the 3 mind stats, and those are planning for when there is time for preparation and a means to be prepared for the situation. There's figuring for when new sensory information must be processed to understand a situation, and there's communing for when ideas must be shared and received from others. So mind, you got planning, which is when you can prepare, figuring, which is on the spot, understanding, communing is interaction. There are 3 body stats. There's exerting for feats of strength and might and force and will. There's reacting for feats of reflex and dexterity, often in response to being acted upon. And enduring for feats of survival and stamina when a situation is exceptionally grueling. And then there is 3 soul stats. There is calming for those times when the darkness excites too much fear and anxiety in the heart. There is sensing for those times when the darkness attempts to infiltrate the heart surreptitiously. And there is projecting for those times when one must act directly upon and against the darkness. Do those all kind of make sense?
What was the first body stat?
Exerting. For those feats of strength and exertion of might, force, and will on one's surroundings.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so we use D6s for this. And whenever... Okay, so you're going to roll 2 dice, and if the sum is equal to or less than the value of one of these stats, it is considered a success. Of course, you don't know specifically. This is what you're guessing about. And if you only have a point of 1, though, so if your skill is only 1, only a single die has to match 1. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's equal to or less than is a success. So the higher the stat, the more likely you are to succeed because there's more less. But obviously, if you have 1, you don't have to get double ones, just one of them. So in terms of probability, if you're a math nerd, you actually have like a slightly higher chance to succeed if you have a 1 than a 2, but then 3 is higher. Yeah, it's math. Beginner's luck, let's call it. Okay, numbers. First, we fend off the darkness. Gather around the campfire and tell the origins of how you arrived here. Like the flame, those memories will scatter like ash into the darkness, but they will be the trailhead from which this journey begins. Who has gathered around this fire? Let us discover them. This is where we take turns, and so I have to secretly, is there a way for me, sorry, this is another Roll20 question. Is there a way for me to secretly roll dice that you cannot see?
Yeah, you change. Oh, you'd have to be a GM though.
Did you create the game?
I did.
/
then-
GM roll.
Okay, / GM roll.
Yeah.
Oh, and then 2d6. Cool, that works. And you don't see that.
Don't see anything.
Nope.
Does the stream see that?
Nope. Because
Okay,
I'm
cool.
not a GM.
Okay. So the way that this works, I'm also going to pull up a character sheet so we can follow along with you guys. So Katie, would you mind doing a little bit of setting talking about for the town, the sort of things that have been set up in the town, just like the lakeside town? Because I'm just borrowing the same setting that we've kind of explored in.
Yeah, sure. I can do that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And if anybody else has played in the Spooks thing, that's cool too. If there's just something that you set up, I'm just going to be moving some things around real quick. So I could either silently sit here or...
Yeah, so there isn't an official town name, but it's a small lake town. Permanent population is less than 2,000 people. During the spring and summer, the population explodes with tourists who go fishing and swimming and boating. The lake is in a valley surrounded by dense forest and beautiful sights that are easy to get lost in if you don't know where you're going. Life in the town is seasonal. During the summer, it's practically bustling, filled with shops and restaurants to entice the visitors. But the winter tells a different story. Main Street is lined with businesses with closed signs, promising to open once again in spring if they're popular enough, or not at all if they didn't do well during the season. All that's open are usually the essentials: the grocery store, mechanic shop, gas station, etc. The locals are resentful of the people who come by in the summer and how they have to depend their whole livelihoods on catering to their needs, because the nearest city is 90 minutes away and doesn't have much to offer by means of work. It's very small and isolated, in a permanent state of flux. It's no wonder the town has many dark secrets that need to be kept under wraps or risk disappearing off the map forever. It's very far north. It gets very cold in the winter. The summers are wonderful and mild, even if there are a lot of mosquitoes. If you scream in the forest, though, there probably isn't anyone close enough to hear you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't write that. Shout out to
Yeah.
R_Omulus.
Thank you, R_Omulus.
Good
Should have
old
waxed
Rachel.
poetically about more trees.
Well, you take it up with her, not me.
All right. So the way that this first fragment works is you're each going to take turns kind of introducing your characters, and for each one of the 6 steps that you go through in this journey, so we'll go, each player does step 1, each player does step 2, each player does, so you take turns. There will be a central obstacle to this stage. You will roll a single skill, or specifically, I will roll a skill, and I will tell you whether it is a bad roll, which means 1 or 2, an okay roll, which is a 3 or a 4, or a good roll, a 5 or a 6. So if I'm going to say bad, okay, or good, and it's either one or the other. So you don't even get to know exactly what your stats are to begin with. If it's bad, that means you struggle with it, or you don't deal with the obstacle in a healthy way, and it continues to affect your life. If it's okay, it means the obstacle is overcome, but you have some sort of new burdens along the way. And if it was good, it means the obstacle was generally overcome with very few adverse consequences. You may ask to re-roll that up to a total of 3 rolls. Each roll represents a period in time. So if you roll 3 times, there are 3 different times in that period of your life that you confronted this obstacle. And they all continue to exist canonically in your character's backstory. You might choose to re-roll a good roll, because the more times you roll, generally the more skills that you get, because you have more experience. I can also kind of explain this as we go along, if you're, let's dive in and do this. Okay. So, Katie, I'm going to pick on you again. I would like you to start. The first step in your character's life is self-discovery. This is the first obstacle is something about yourself, something within yourself. It is a part of your identity or part of how you fit into the situation around you. It is some interior personal goal or aspiration that you are struggling with, or is currently provides an obstacle for you. You want to talk briefly about what your role in this town is, whether you're a tourist or a resident. If you're a resident, what job do you do? But most importantly, what obstacle are you facing now as yourself? And this is before any weird supernatural stuff starts.
I think I am going to play sort of a tourist role. Someone who came to this city didn't intend to stay, but ended up staying anyway. I think they're dealing with finding their footing and their place in this town, surrounded by people who don't really welcome outsiders.
Okay. So you're feeling a little bit like an outsider here.
Yeah.
How are you choosing to address this? You can choose either mind, body, or soul. You don't have to worry about the specific sub-stats. You can just focus, is this something that you address with your body, your physical will? Do you prove yourself? Or do you beat people up? Do you get into fights? How do you address that? You could use your mind. Do you learn more about the town? Do you integrate yourself? Do you slip within social circles? Or do you use the soul, which is a more spiritual connection? Do you kind of get comfortable in this place? Do you become accepting of your role as not somebody originally from here, but still find a place here?
I think I'm going to use soul. I think that I'm leaning toward he, him pronouns, and I think he just tries to insert himself as normally as possible in what's going on in the town to make everyone think that he should be there.
Okay. So you're using soul. So here's the kicker. There are 3 of these stats. I call them trinities because that's a cool word. For the 6 steps ahead of you, you can use one of them once, one of them twice, and one of them 3 times. So, for example, if you want soul to be your primary stat, that's kind of how your character goes about solving their problems. You use that 3 times. Maybe body is used twice, mind is used once. But there's a little bit of a restriction on how many times each one can be used. Whether it's primary or tertiary or whatever to you is totally your choice, but they will fall into those roles. Okay, so I'm going to roll that for you. Oh, hey, I should just copy paste GM roll 2d6.
I think if you hit the up key too, it'll put it in your last roll
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
or your last command.
That is an okay roll. So you address this with your soul and how you get along, and you mostly address the issue, but there are probably other repercussions or other ways that you find obstacles.
So like just asking, like, where would is this something that she would write down?
Yeah, so in the character sheets, I'm
Uh-huh.
taking notes on these too because I
Mhm.
am keeping track of the total points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll be honest and say that I am still working on this is the second time it's been run on stream. It
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense to me on paper
Mhm.
because you all have sheets in front of you and then I collect the sheets.
Yeah.
For this one, yeah, you can have a total of 3 checks. And you can either, keep track of that on the bio section. I don't know if we can both be editing the bio section at the same time though, can we?
Well, we would be able to see it
Oh, you're right.
if
You're right.
you wouldn't want us to see that.
I can use the GM notes section though, can't I?
So, like, say we had a piece of paper, though. Where would you write that on the piece of paper? Would you write it under soul? You would write okay.
Yeah, on the first check here, I can send you guys the file of the character sheets.
Okay.
I thought that was in the download, but
Oh, I have it.
yeah. So in the character sheet, which is only used for this first phase, there's also a separate sheet that the GM would use to kind of keep track of everybody's information. There are like the 3 spots to check how many times you attempt each obstacle. There's a little spot to write briefly what your obstacle is, the trinity that you use, and ultimately the conclusion for that phase or that step.
Okay.
So
I kind of
how
see
do-
how it's working.
How do I know what my numerical stat I'm rolling against is, like, for calming or sensing or projecting, or am I just rolling against a 3 or 4 for soul?
Yeah, so right now for these ones,
Mhm.
I'm just rolling a single die for your one. You don't have values in these stats. This is us determining who your character is. We're assigning your values now.
Cool.
So you don't have character sheets yet. This is building the character sheet.
Cool.
Mhm.
So my soul is okay.
Yeah. Let me make sure I'm doing this right.
So hard to do things right. I've found.
Yeah, and this is a game where, like, I always forget, like, oh shoot, this game actually has like rules and stuff. Okay.
Don't you just hate when that happens?
Yeah, so as we go through this is the part, and I can, like, yeah, I don't know how, if you want to keep track of this in your bio as well, you keep track of the number of points in, like, the calming, sensing, projecting based on just how many times you choose to roll.
Okay.
So you get 3 points to spend between those skills each time you roll. So for example, you got okay. If you rolled, you get 3 points. If you roll again for the self-discovery obstacle, you get another 3 points. If you roll a third time, you get another 3 points. So if you take all 3 of your checks to butt up against your obstacle and your self-discovery, you could get up to 9 points to spend on your skills. But
Okay.
if your second roll is a good roll, you might not want to roll again because whatever like the last one is that kind of sticks. So your character story becomes like, okay, good and bad, right? Like you found peace, but then you kept butting up against this thing and you slipped down. You got more skills along the way because you've experienced more, you've interacted more, you've kind of gotten a sense of what does and does not work, but you've kind of put yourself in a shitty position life-wise.
Okay. So if I wanted to re-roll that one, I could. So
Yes.
yeah, I want to do that one.
Okay. This is one of those times where having like 3 monitors would be rad. Oh, that was a bad roll.
Fun. But I still get 6 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
So you can either... so your character was okay. How did you first try to approach the obstacle of fitting in with the town as an outsider?
Probably I would see him sticking around like past the time when tourists leave and like getting a job, but then ultimately not being able to perform at that job, so losing it and having to work like not being able to keep a job, so it was very hard for him to keep up money and stuff.
Okay. And then as somebody who already kind of has a difficult reputation in this town, as somebody who has cycled through several jobs in a small town, you kind of, that reputation keeps going.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to try that a third time?
Nope.
Nope. All right. So you get 6 points that you can spend between calming, sensing, projecting.
Okay, cool. Did it.
All right, cool. Did you record that somewhere?
I'll save the page. Yeah, it's saved. It's in my bio.
Okay. Rad. Okay. So. Okay. And then let's go to Dave. Tell me about your character. Who are you? What brought you to this town? Are you from this town? And what is your obstacle of self-discovery? What first step do you face here?
I think I am a lumberjack person who was living in the town, and I think my big struggle is I think a lot of the town is like accepting, like, oh, this is just how we are, this is how the town operates. But I think that, you know, we should try to be something more than just a tourist spot in the summer, and pushing against like the stagnancy in the town is probably what is hitting me.
Okay. Are you a local then?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely a local.
All right. So what Trinity, body, mind, or soul are you using to address this obstacle of a town that refuses to evolve?
I think I am trying to plan out how the town should change, and maybe even run for a political office or something. But right now it's trying to plan out what I think the town's future should be.
All right. So that sounds like mind.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an okay roll.
I think I, maybe to the detriment of my own point I'm trying to make. Just keep on pushing others to try to accept it.
Okay, so you're advancing your point, but maybe you're chafing people along the way?
Yeah, I think roll again is what I'm going for.
Okay. That's an okay roll.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop even if it hurts.
Okay. I think GM roll is already cursed. This is a bad roll.
Yike. Yeah, that makes sense though.
Okay, so Lumberjack pushed and pushed. What was the conclusion here? You're trying to plan for the future, and ultimately, did you get like ousted from a town hall meeting, or did you? What happened to your relationships around you?
I think that like basically we've had the same mayor that's been reelected over and over and over, and like in a bid to try to do anything, I threw my name in the ring and no one voted for me other than myself or something.
Oh no. Okay, so it's almost kind of like a humiliating defeat.
Yeah, I don't know if like we know that no one else voted for me, but it was
okay.
It
I
was
didn't read the votes aloud.
it was very clear that I was not wanted for my thoughts in the town.
Okay, so you have 9 points to spend on your mind stats.
Okay. Also, I think they, them is going to fit this person.
They, them. Okay. They. All right, Summer.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about this town that you're in and the world that is around you? Who are you? What are you feeling inside? What obstacles do you face in your journey of self-discovery?
That's a great question. I haven't thought about it literally at all.
Okay. I guess, are you a tourist or a local?
I'm a local.
Okay.
I think that I went away for a while for like school or something. And when I came back, I had a feeling of like being better than this place. Like I had seen more. And so now I'm feeling like a little bit trapped here, maybe.
Okay. When you came back, did you choose to come back or did you feel like you have to come back?
I feel like I had to come back. I think it was a
Okay.
family thing.
Okay. All right. So this feeling of superiority, how are you addressing this obstacle?
I'm gonna punch it out of myself. Actually,
Okay.
I really do think that it's like some kind of like physical exercise, or like maybe she gets really into boxing or something.
Okay.
To
So
deal with it.
Yeah, you're kind of proving yourself to be stronger almost. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me roll that for you. It's an okay roll.
Okay.
So maybe you're getting stronger and better at boxing and better at punching, but it doesn't actually address the actual like the feelings of superiority over those around you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to roll it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
That
was a good roll.
Great.
Do you want to? Okay. So do you want to roll that again, or are you leaving it good?
I'm gonna leave it.
Okay. Okay. So let me know how your character, and are you thinking of specific pronouns? Did you say?
Yeah, she, her.
Okay. And then if you guys do think of names or just titles you want to go by, you can drop them in at any point. So how do you feel that her exercise, her application of just punching through her problems has helped her address this conflict of superiority, of not feeling like she fit in or feeling like she has experienced more than this town has to offer?
I think it just kind of helped her get I don't know. I feel like she just used this as like kind of release, like so she didn't have to really think about it. You know what I mean? I don't know if this was like a conscious problem that she was feeling.
Okay.
So I think that the act of doing something, of creating routine in the city, helped her get over it.
Okay. And you're a little bit more like at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Dingo. Hi. Tell me about yourself. Who are we? What are we feeling on the inside parts? What is our internal conflict that we have to overcome?
Well, the inside parts are feeling soft and squishy.
Soft and squishy. Okay.
I think I'm a local, and I think I've lived in this town for a very, very long time. I think I'm an older woman, and I think the main thing that she struggles with is I think she's very much afraid to leave her house for any kind of significant period of time. And I think that causes a lot of loneliness for her. She wants to go outside and make more friends and see more people, but I think she has a lot of fear.
All right. So is she conscious of this fear? Does she like know she wants to go out but is stopping herself? Or does she make excuses that she's not even aware of doing?
I don't think she's aware of it. I think she makes excuses. But I think she almost I guess kind of wants people to come to her because she very much does feel that loneliness. I think that's very much conscious.
Okay. So this is, you're addressing this obstacle kind of subconsciously, unconsciously. How might she be doing this?
I'm torn between mind and soul, so maybe you can kind of help me with that. Because on the one hand, I think the way she pushes back against this is very much by, several days in advance before leaving, creating a whole plan and backup plans, and mapping out exactly where she needs to go, and who she's going to speak to, and sort of practicing. So in my mind, that's almost like using mind.
Yeah, so if it sounds like the way that she can actually remove herself from the house, put herself outside, is to construct this elaborate and specific itinerary to give herself goals, that sounds more like mind. If it's something where she's, like fixating on a goal or two and that she feels really strongly about, and that feeling of wanting to interact with one person specifically is strong enough to pull her out, I would say that sounds like soul.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with mind on this one.
Mind? Okay. All right, let's roll that for you. What happened? I got booted.
Oh no.
From my own game.
Roll20 said no thank you.
Yeah, I think I pressed a button that meant a very different thing when I'm not in the text box. Okay. There we go. It's an okay roll. So I imagine this plan works, right? So long as she develops a specific itinerary, so long as she, literally prints out a map from MapQuest or something, because that's still what she uses, and draws the lines herself, that works. But, that's still a lonely way to go about things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does she keep trying?
Yeah, I'd say I'd like to try again.
Okay. That's a bad roll.
Oh.
How does this get worse for her?
I think she keeps trying, and
I guess, is this town and her friends accommodating to her hyper-specific plans?
no, I think she probably there's probably like a book club that she goes to on good days, where she can go. And I think sometimes they want to draw her away from her plans, or maybe there's another lady that she walks there with. And one of the roads was closed that she usually takes. And when the other the old lady tried to, divert their path, I think it was too much, and she didn't want to go, and she would rather turn around and head back home. It just wasn't worth it.
All right.
I think she only got maybe like 2 blocks away before she turned around and headed home.
Would you like to roll again?
Yeah, let's try one more time.
It's a good roll. So after this specific conflict that arises with this older woman who wants her to go off the beaten path, she has very specific event of not being able to break from her plans. So she turns around, she leaves, she goes home. How does this improve for her?
I think maybe she starts planning a couple of like backup contingency plans and adds them to her little repertoire. She says, okay, well, if this road's closed, I can go this way, and sort of, I think she's able to practice walking the backup paths a few times with some pretty good success. And I think
do you think after that situation, the fellow book club folks are a little bit more aware of her and might be following up with her a little bit more?
Yeah, I think specifically the one that she walks with checks up on her a little bit more.
Okay, cool. Yay. All right, Katie.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah, what's
the
up?
roll was good. Now how many points do I have to divide?
So you rolled it 3 times, so you get a total of 9 points to spend on your mind skills.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because it's based on the number of rolls, not necessarily the value of the rolls. Which is why if you get like a good, you might still want to re-roll it after, depending on how you want to build your character.
So right. You could put them all in one thing and take zeros on the other ones, right?
Yes.
Also,
you would always fail.
Oh no. Sorry.
You're always gonna have one because you're always gonna have at least one roll.
Sorry, they all begin at 1, and you add 2, 1. Sorry. Yeah. So all your skills start at 1, and so if you leave it at 1, you can. If you add 1 point to it, it goes to 2.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Math. Yeah, because you said that, and it's like, wait, this was a math problem that I remember addressing when making this game. What was my solution? Yes, it was that.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. This step is mundane tragedy. The second obstacle emerges from a tragedy in the character's personal life or surroundings, such as the death of a loved one, their home burning down, the sudden loss of income, or committing a terrible crime. The character must grapple with the reality of the tragedy, as well as manage the many repercussions that arise from it. Katie.
Yeah.
So you're, and also the once we're done with all these steps, that's when the game starts. So all of this is just sort of chronologically for you in your character's past, but Dingo, you're saying your character is an older woman. If this stuff that you're talking about ended up happening like a decade ago, or like Katie, if this like jobs was going on and off and then, you know, several years pass before anything happens, or like this is when like one of your characters was a kid and now they're an adult, that's okay. This is pretty loosey-goosey time so long as it's in sequential order for your character.
Yeah, so I did give my character a name.
Okay, yeah, what's his name?
You can tell I've already told Summer. His name is Pip. I like it. I actually know I went to college with someone named Pip.
Does he have a raccoon pal?
No.
I was just going to say
is
I
his
have...
best friend Chippa.
God damn it.
I wasn't going to go in that direction. I was just going to say that I have great expectations for this.
Thank you. His name is Pip. So I think the reason he stayed in the town is because of like a tragedy from his past. And yes, I am 100% stealing this from a TV show. I think he was in a relationship and like they sort of saw no way of getting anywhere like better and further. So he robbed a convenience store. Robbed a couple of convenience stores to try to get some money, but ended up getting caught and going to prison for a long time. Probably about 10 to 15 years out of his life. And when he came back, like, it wasn't that he just hadn't heard from his girlfriend in jail. She just up and left. So that was sort of his tragedy. And that's why, like, I think he was traveling on the road a lot, just didn't really have anywhere to put down roots. And that's why he like is now trying to put down roots in this place because he's tired of not having somewhere, but he still feels like an outsider.
Okay. So kind of sequentially talking, was any of the convenience stores that he robbed in this town?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So we kind of talked about his original issue of self-discovery being related to this town. Do you want to like...
I think that like the reason he starts losing, to relate this all together, the reason he starts losing jobs is like, I think that part of his past comes out.
Okay.
Somehow.
So for this step of mundane tragedy, does something from his past resurface now that he's here in this town?
Probably one of the people, you know, doing like background search on him, that kind of thing, that criminal past, because that would definitely still be like on his record, that you don't expunge that kind of stuff because he was convicted. I mean, he admitted to it, all that kind of stuff. There was no way getting out of it.
Right. Yeah. Because if you have that much of your life in prison. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to say this mundane tragedy is essentially the resurfacing of this broken relationship, this life of crime that he turned to that ultimately, you know, backfired and, you know, continues to affect his life. What does he do about this?
I think I'm going to use body because I think this is when he starts taking jobs under the table, like construction jobs, housing, that kind of stuff. You know, he's having, and I don't think that he's like weak or anything, but he's not used to using his hands. I think back in when he did that, he was like this 9-to-5 kind of office corporate guy, with just a dead end job. So now he's like trying to work these under the table jobs, to make a living.
Okay, cool. Let's roll it.
Okay.
It's a good roll.
I'm gonna keep it.
All right. So you get 3 points to spend on your body. And how do these jobs work out for him?
I think that he has a relatively decent reputation with the people who do hire him. Like they'll come back for more work, but I just don't think there's that much work. So it's sort of like the ones who will take a chance on him, it works out well, but it's not like there's many opportunities.
Okay. Cool. David. Mundane tragedy. Your lumberjack ran for office and had a terrible defeat.
It seems like a mundane enough tragedy.
Okay. It's also mundane in terms of non-supernatural.
Yeah.
So is that like the complete dissolution of a potential political career, the tragedy in lumberjack?
I think so. Sort of like seeing the future that they thought they had go away.
All right. What's he doing about it?
I think they throw themselves into their work.
Okay. They're lumberjacking?
Yes.
Okay. So is that body?
Yes.
Okay, let's roll that body. It's a good roll.
I'll risk it.
Okay. So far, you're starting to feel like some fulfillment in throwing yourself into.
And I think they may just continue throwing themselves into it, hoping like that this fulfillment will grow or continue by just keeping at it. Maybe they're like clearing out areas, like they're tying this work that they're doing to their dream of expanding the town and clearing out maybe a little more area around the town's edge, etc.
Okay. That's an okay roll.
I think so far we've established this lumberjack is not going to.
No, they are not.
Let's see.
A good roll.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Okay, so they have a rough patch where maybe they bury themselves in their work, but they kind of resurface and they're finding a clear direction in the face of this kind of destruction of the previous plan.
Yeah, you sort of like, well, I mean, their goal isn't dead, but they sort of change the way they want to proceed towards it.
Okay. Cool. All right. And Summer, your punch student has left, come back, found some inner peace and fitness, but then experiences some mundane tragedy. Something about your life is okay. That's a grin. What do you got?
Well, I have two, and I want y'all to pick because one of them is really tragic, and the other one's just like kind of, oh, that's sad.
Really tragic.
Really
Yeah,
tragic. Go with the really tragic one.
Oh, do we have to pick based on those descriptors alone?
No, I was going to tell you what they were.
Okay.
Well, both of them, she lost something. One of them is her cat ran away, and the other one is her mom is missing.
Is it bad that I'm like just automatically don't hurt the cat?
The cat ran away. It doesn't mean either of them are hurt. They're
I'm
just
really
both
here
missing.
for missing moms. That's a good one.
Okay, we'll go with her.
Big tragedy.
But like, is it the kind of thing that she's been missing, like for all of your characters' life, or a good portion of character life, but you still believe she's out there, or is this relatively new?
She's recently gone missing.
Okay, yes, I'm still for it. I just wanted to know. As
in, search parties are still going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that why you came back home? No, you just said it was a recent thing.
You said we could do these like out of chronological order, right? So maybe this is the reason she came home.
These steps are in chronological order with each other, but like this step might be 10 years ago versus like Katie's step 2, which was 2 months ago versus.
Gotcha.
Your steps are sequential, but like as we get forward, if this is something that's recent, we can start talking about the other characters, and now they're aware of a missing person. Is it relevant to their lives? And that's something we can explore as well.
Okay, yeah. So this is pretty recent. I think she came home a while ago, and I think like maybe a year ago.
Okay.
And her mom went missing within the past like month or so.
Okay. What are you doing about it?
I want to say this is Soul. And that she's like, because I think she has a special connection with her mother. And so she's trying to like, I don't know, positive projection where you like say this thing is going to happen, so it does.
Yeah. Sort
kind
of feeling
thing.
that out too.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's a good roll.
I'm a glutton for punishment, so let's roll again.
So it's working, and even though you don't know where your mom is, you feel this connection to her. You can feel she's still out there. It's a good roll.
Oh no.
As in the second one was also good. Do you want threesies? Did I freeze?
No, it was me. My computer froze.
Oh,
it's back.
Yay.
If you could just say that again.
Okay, so the second roll was a good roll.
Okay.
And the way that I kind of described the first good roll, if you missed that part, was like you feel this emotional connection with your mom. You know in your heart of hearts that like she's still out there somehow. You just don't know where she is. And so the second roll was good. How's that going for you?
Maybe we're getting closer. Like we're finding shit. Like we're finding signs of her and she's okay. Dang, do I want to go again?
You found her gingham bucket hat.
No, ma'am, we did not. We found her fishing equipment.
Her dirty kid's shoe that she left behind.
I think we found indicators that she might have left voluntarily.
Okay.
Guys, I kind of want to roll again, but I'm scared.
Do it. Just go balls to the wall. Let it out.
Do it.
Do it. It's fucking midnight on the East Coast. Just do it.
Just fucking do it.
It's July 4th somewhere.
All right, let's do it. Let's go again. Third time's the charm.
It's a good roll.
Okay. Well, I'm happy.
Has anyone gotten like a better than good yet?
No, it's only bad,
only
okay, good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Bad is 1 or 2, okay is 3 or 4, and good is 5 or 6.
I was getting good and okay thinking they were the same. That's my bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Found evidence. Okay,
I can't find her, can I?
Sure.
Like, can I overcome the tragedy?
Yeah. Because your tragedy isn't like if she died, then no, she wouldn't be able to come back. But you said it missing. So if you wanted to find her, you could. Or if you wanted to find definitive evidence that she left voluntarily, and like if you wanted to find a note from her, that would be an okay thing too.
Yeah, I think that I find her to the point of communication. Like I get a hold of her somehow. And basically I don't think she tells me exactly why or like the whole deal. But she's left voluntarily. And I guess the tragedy here would be my dad doesn't know why or like where she is necessarily.
And you are the only person that she knows. What is your form of communication? Does she call from an unknown phone? Does she leave notes for you to find in like a mailbox in the middle of the woods? Does she like, what is this communication like?
I think it's like texting from like a burner phone.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's mundane. It's not.
Yeah, okay.
Leave me a freaking breadcrumb trail out into the woods. Where she carves messages on a magical stump.
Alrighty,
Yeah.
go. What is your tragedy?
My wife cheats on me.
Oh no.
Big
Yeah.
bummer. big
Why
bummer.
would you do that?
Big bummer.
To agoraphobic grandma.
So agoraphobic grandma, you're having problems with loneliness and getting out of the house. But meanwhile, you had a wife in your house. Is this related?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it every time that you left the house?
I think it's the fact that my wife wants to leave the house so much, and I am always happy to hear about the things that she did when she comes back, even when it makes me feel more lonely. But I don't think she can get me to come along with her. So she
Okay.
found.
So she finds someone else. What are you doing about that? How do you grapple with this? Whether it's, solving the problem or finding escape in a completely different route.
Yeah.
My cat. Come home.
He found the cat.
You can hear the boy. He's so needy. It's probably dinner time.
Oh, bless. I didn't think about how to deal with it, Taylor. I just thought of the thing that happened.
Okay, so she cheats. How do you find out? Does she tell you, or do you
I mean, there's no way I'm going to catch them. So.
The one time you leave the house.
No, I think eventually she does tell me because she's leaving me.
Okay. So she's leaving. That is the tragedy. Do you try to overcome this obstacle by attempting to get her back? Or do you try to overcome by making the most of the life that you have here? Or is your attempt to find solace in yourself just is it more destructive? This doesn't have to be a productive or positive way that you address this tragedy, just that this tragedy has happened and you are now reacting to it.
I think, yeah, she definitely doesn't react in a positive way. I don't think she tries to get her back because I don't think she thinks she can. So I think she just locks herself in her room with several bottles of gin and just kind of drinks her days away.
Okay. So do you feel like this is physically punishing your body by an act of self-harm? Is this trying to dull your mind, dull your thinking so you don't think about it anymore? Are you escaping the thoughts and memories? Or are you kind of wallowing in this feeling? Are you using the gin and loneliness to peak those feelings and just trying to live in your heart, whether it's putting good memories on repeat, now bittersweet, or just focusing on that sadness?
Yeah, I think she's definitely wallowing in it.
Okay.
I think they had a lot of secret love letters to each other that she dug out and is kind of going through and drinking over.
Okay. So you feel
all over.
soul?
Let's do soul.
Or are you thinking mind?
I'm thinking soul.
Soul. Okay. I guess, yeah. Heart or brain? Feeling or memory? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's do this GM roll. It's difficult to type when you're licking my fingers. That's a bad roll. This isn't working out for grandma. Oh yeah, is she a grandma? Does she have kids? Does she have grandchildren?
I want to say yes, so I'm gonna say yes.
But maybe they're estranged. They didn't want to stay in the small town and they left.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that was a bad roll. This isn't working out. For some reason, locking yourself in and drinking a lot doesn't seem to be solving your problem.
What?
What are you doing about that?
Drinking more.
Yeah, sure. Double down.
Yeah, let's double down.
Huh. That one was good. All right, so
Okay.
what does she find at the bottom of this place that she's in?
I think she finds maybe not like happiness or like acceptance, but maybe just like a numbness to it, to where, you know, she's exposed herself to this feeling so much that she just doesn't care about it as much anymore. It's sort of dulled. It's kind of like an empty, hollow feeling after you've sort of cried out everything that you have.
Yeah. Does she keep trying?
No.
Okay. Katie. We are now on the third obstacle, hope and love. The third obstacle seems anything but the introduction of a brand new opportunity, a target of consuming love, or something profound to hope for, creates a drive within the character that must be addressed. Pursuit or refusal of this obstacle is life-altering on a fundamental level for the character.
So I'm just like, do I want to be on my bullshit or do I want to be not on my bullshit? And we both know which one I'm going for. All of us know which one I'm going for. His girlfriend comes back into the picture.
Oh, does she?
With a child.
His child.
It's his child.
Okay.
Thank you, Taylor.
Clarify.
Are you sure?
He is sure.
Okay.
That's what he believes.
Okay.
Oh, so it's not concrete fact.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out.
They haven't been on Maury yet, let's just say.
I mean, not yet.
All right. So old flame that you robbed convenience stores for comes back into your life with a child. How old is the kid now?
Probably, shit, I have to do math. I was in jail for like 10, probably like around 10 or 11.
I mean, conjugal visits are a thing, right?
I did say that she never saw him in jail.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also okay if you want to fudge the numbers, but yeah, he's like 10 or so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
A boy.
Little boy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think we started dropping he's, but if you want to...
No, I'm cool with that.
Okay. So she comes back with a son, and his idea of hope and love is maybe that he can have a family?
Yeah, I don't think he has like any love or loyalty toward her, but he really wants to have some kind of life with his child.
Okay. All right. What is he doing about it?
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to make some kind of relationship, you know, like talk to him, be in his life. I don't think so. I think that like they're not from here, so his girlfriend is just like staying in the local motel or whatever, and so he's trying to like maybe like make something more solid for them.
Okay. So do you feel like he is trying to plan a life in which the son can stay and be more a part of it, or is he trying to connect emotionally and spend time with the boy now in the moment?
A little bit of both. I think he is focusing on the moment because he's missed so much of this child's life, but he does want to make something long term eventually. But I think he also wants to give the child, like his son, a chance to see if he even wants him in his life.
Okay. So you're thinking mind or soul?
I've already used soul, so mind.
So you can use them. So if you wanted to use soul again, you could. It just means that one of the other ones could only be used once.
I'll use mind. It's fine.
Mind. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's roll. It's a good roll.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna keep it then.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to roll again because I want those points. Because I have 2 more rerolls left.
Yep. It's an okay roll. So it works for a while. You're connecting with the son. You're probably getting to know him, getting along pretty well. But then what happens when you keep kind of trying to make this life for them here?
I think this is like, it comes to this point where I find out that me and the mother like don't have anything in common anymore at all. And so it's putting this strain on this kid who, you know, has had 10 years of his life taken care of by this woman, and I'm basically a stranger. And so I think it's still it's okay, of course, but like things are very strained between the 3 of us.
Okay. Do you try again?
Yeah, I'm going to.
That's a bad roll.
God damn it!
It just gets worse and worse the more he gets to know you.
Legitimately got worse every time.
Okay.
He's the criminal.
And I'm thinking part of this is the son lives with the mom, so whenever he's not around, and the more like they are kind of conflicting, he is hearing her version of, you know, their history. She gets to contextualize everything.
Yeah, and I think like he makes it very clear he doesn't want to be with her because he feels betrayed because he tried to do something for her, even though it was a crime. He still feels like he's betrayed. So I think like if he, you know, brings someone home or goes out with someone or does anything that isn't exactly like completely revolving around them, she gets a little jealous about it. And the kid's having to hear that. And I mean, he's going to trust his mom over this stranger.
Right. Cool. All right, which brings us to Dave. What does Dave hope and love for, or Lumberjack specifically?
I think
just a better axe and more trees.
Better axe and more trees.
So as somebody also, I will say somebody who is also involved with the community a little bit, kind of thinking about how to improve the town. If you want to say this is kind of chronologically around the same time that Summer's character's mom went missing, that can be something that you are aware of. Whether that relates to this or is just unrelated, but is in the backdrop of your decision. That's something.
No, that's okay. On one hand, like I almost want to be like a parent figure. I almost want to be the other parent to or somehow involved in this situation.
You want to be my dad?
Yeah.
Summer, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm great with that because your wife hates you.
I think when she ran away,
wow, look at this shitty lumberjack I married.
I think I realized
he can't cut down a tree or shit. Can't be mayor, can't cut down a tree.
I think when she ran away, I think that was like a wake-up call. Like, oh shit, I actually like really care about her and I need to do right by her and try to find her and stuff. And
I'm gonna cut down the prettiest tree for her.
Yeah, cut down the prettiest tree and bring it home and but yeah, I think it is also involved in the search for her.
Okay. So this sort of hope of finding her. What are you applying towards that? You use mind once and body once. You can use either one again if you'd like, or you can use soul.
Let's just go with soul.
Sorry, he did the thing again.
Let's go with soul.
Okay.
Also, I was saying I was hurt, crushed, and devastated.
It's a good roll. So
gonna-
are you kind of also trying to emotionally connect? Or are you connecting with your own emotions?
I think some of each, if possible. Definitely more so with my emotions.
Okay.
I'm not very good at it, and I think I'm gonna risk leaving it at one roll.
All right. So you get 3 points to spend on soul.
Yeah.
All right, Summer. You have a dad.
Wow, isn't that cool?
Or what does the lumberjack identify as a dad?
I think so. Dad and lumberjack seem to go together pretty well.
Do you have a name, Dad?
Dad. That's what you can call
It's
me.
Randy.
I mean,
Adstifer.
that's a
Dad.
good one.
Chipstuffer.
So what is the hope aspect of this? Just real quick.
Okay. So there is either like an opportunity has arisen in your life for you to do something, or there is a goal ahead of you that you can hope for, or so maybe there's some opportunity that you can, like you are into fitness, so maybe there's something that's
Sure.
related to that. You have an ability to demonstrate your skills on a wide level, or maybe it's related to your mom and this idea of you hope to see her again, or you hope she's well, or you like see an opportunity for that life to be reunited. You now see your dad trying to be more involved in a way they have never been before.
Yeah.
So maybe there's hope there, or maybe
Other.
there's hope to, like, maybe something really awesome happens, like you get a job opportunity from an old professor for the school you went to out of town, and they were like, hey, if you want to move back, I've got this thing. And so now there's this kind of allure that's pulling you away, but we know you're not going to leave.
Okay. Well, I was going to go in a different direction and be on my most bullshit. Thank you
Please do.
for all encouraging me. I was going to say that there's like a really hot convict that just got out of jail,
Yes.
but they have a kid. Isn't that a bummer?
Uh-oh.
I would like to just say I have nothing to do with this.
She really doesn't. I didn't tell her.
This is Summer just being on her fucking own.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't I? Why
We
wouldn't
should have
I?
known as soon as
You
she said
encouraged
Katie's on her
me.
BS. Should I be on mine?
You encouraged me. You wanted me to do this. Everybody wanted me to do this.
I wanted you to do it.
Okay. So you hope for love with
Yeah.
the hot convict.
Wouldn't that be great?
All right, what are you doing about it?
She also becomes a convict.
No, you're out of jail now. I can't go to jail. What do we do about it?
Do
I've got an
you-
idea.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, fuck, that's not a good idea. This kid's too old. I was going to say I work at the daycare, but this kid is like way too old for daycare.
I mean, you could be like
Oh, I could be a
athletics
babysitter.
after school thing.
I could be a babysitter.
You could be a babysitter. That's certainly a trope.
I mean, I'm like fresh out of college, like 22. I could babysit on the weekends.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that is. Maybe mind? I don't really know.
Well, what
Help.
are you trying to do? So did you get the job to get closer to him, or did you meet him
Yes.
through the job?
Oh, yeah, I think ooh, that's a good question. Help. What do we think
Maybe
is
you
more
met him
interesting?
through the job, but you sort of took on maybe more hours for them as an
Oh,
excuse
yeah.
to like see him.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that.
So do you feel like she is planning ways to
That's
spend
kind of
more
what I was
time?
thinking.
Okay.
Was like it's a very planning type of
Okay.
situation.
Let's do mind then.
Okay.
It's an okay roll.
Hit me again.
Okay, so it's not really working. It's an okay roll. you think, it's not going badly, but like you're learning more about some shit that he has going on in his life, like a pretty jilted ex that's actively in his life.
Yeah. Bummer.
Do you want number 3?
Yes.
Oh, that's a bad roll.
Oh no.
All right. So you are kind of beset by really no momentum, no progress. You like spend more time. You're like, oh no, I don't have my car. Can you drive me home? Like that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
And it's like kind of working, but it's just there's no barrier there. So I'm imagining you have one more plan. What is that plan and why does it go so poorly?
Oh God. I kind of want to say that maybe this was a really dumb idea. Maybe this is a really dumb 22-year-old idea that I quit
Okay.
with the hopes that they'll like ask me to come back, like realize that they need me.
Okay.
And it doesn't happen.
He started taking his child to agoraphobic grandma's house.
And so now I don't get to see him at all.
Okay.
Is that a good plan? A bad
That's
plan?
Awesome. That's awesome.
Is that a good bad plan?
That's a great bad plan.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm just taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
You missed. Okay. Didn't work. Okay. Rad, you have 9 points to spend on mind. Dingo. I don't know if I'm at the part where I can just start making onomatopoeia at you. Ding dong, ding a ling, go.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, that was day one. You could.
Everyone's always at that part with Dingo.
It's an open invitation.
Okay, great. Dingo, what are we doing?
It's a good question.
Okay, hope and love. So she is devastated and numbing herself into a drunken stupor. She's probably kind of leveled out now. But there's something that she can now hope for. There's some promise of love or opportunity that she sees peeking on the horizon. What is it? How can she reach for it? What does she need to do? And I am always happy to throw out suggestions.
Can I say it has something to do with them taking their child to the agoraphobic granny now?
Yeah. Katie, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I threw it out jokingly, but I genuinely am cool with it.
Okay. So you're having a rough time, but so do you put out an ad that is answered, or are you like somehow a friend of a friend who suggests you kind of without your knowing?
No, I think she probably puts out an ad that the mom saw in like the local paper.
Okay.
Just to get in, her thought was just to get in like some extra cash, and childcare is something that she was very good at when she was taking care of children. And I think any kind of response to this would give her a little bit of hope.
All right. So yeah, you get that response. You're taking care of this kid. He's kind of troubled because of his rough family situation. I'm saying this is summertime, so he's not in school and doesn't really have to worry about like school districts or whatever.
Yeah.
But that means he has a lot of time on his own. And yeah, so this is giving you hope. What do you do to sort of like strive for that or build around it or grow from this opportunity?
I think maybe finding a way to get this boy to connect with me. And I think maybe I take him to play tennis.
His name is Flynn. I just named him.
Flynn. Boy is Flynn. All right, you're playing tennis with Flynn. Does that mean body?
Yes.
Okay. But that's a bad roll.
He doesn't like tennis.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's trying different activities that she liked when she was young. Hence the tennis, and he just isn't really interested in it. Doesn't like to play it the way she likes to play it. She's probably very like rule oriented.
So does she try to change tactics, or does she double down on tennis
Um,
when this isn't working?
I think she doubles down. I think she tries to, but not necessarily on tennis. I think she tries to find other ways to play it that he might like. Try to make up like a Calvin ball style game
All right.
that maybe he'll like, sort of pushing herself to go outside the rules and sort of trying to connect with him at the same time.
So no key roll.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's kind of working, and he's having fun and she's having fun, but she's old, so there's only so much like they can do before she gets tired and they have to go back inside. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So are you leaving at that? Are you trying to build on it?
I think I want to do it one more time.
Okay. It's a good roll.
Yay. I think maybe they switch from tennis. I think they talk a lot on the way back from the tennis courts, and she sort of realizes that like just taking nice walks with Flynn is probably a good way to help him sort of decompress with the situation with his parents, and sort of listen to him just like ramble. So I think they start taking these long walks instead.
Okay.
And it works out really well, and he really enjoys it.
Okay. Do you include other book club women in these walks at all?
I think we say hi. I think we have a little route to where we can visit some of the other women and say hi.
Okay.
But I don't think they come along.
Okay. Does she go back to the book club?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So that concludes the third step for all of you. There are a total of 6 steps, so I think now is a good time to take a break. While this is character creation, it is kind of the first half of the game. So
yeah. We're just going to take a quick 5-10 minute break, and we will be right back, everybody. Hang in there.
Did we
everyone.
do it? Oh.
Yep. just give me 2 goddamn seconds.
Waited for her to take a breath to start talking before you started
God.
a little song.
We're back, everyone. Taylor, just take over this. I'm done.
Okay, welcome back. We have drama, tragedy, and glimmers of hope. And we will move on to stage 4, which is the brush with darkness. The 4th obstacle invites darkness into the character's life. Darkness manifests in the character's life as something inexplicable. Shadowy figures who follow at a distance, sourceless sounds of breathing and growling, blood seeping from cracks in the floors and walls. The characters will not solve this obstacle in any way that identifies, prevents, or even directly addresses the actual instance of darkness. Instead, the character must manage how this event has affected their life, their job, and their relationships. The instance of darkness for this obstacle is invariably significant in its impact. So, in the course of you guys doing your lives, doing your tragedy, edges of the world start to get weird. Now, at the onset and the pitch of this game, I had this weird, like, art theme. I made a Pinterest mood board that had a lot of pictures of annihilation. If we want to take this in another direction, we absolutely can. That was kind of a framework that I started with, but if it evolves into something else, we can certainly go that way. It's just good to be on a similar page. So, for example, if one person introduces shadow figures that follow them, and next person let's not introduce like little green men, and next person introduces mathematical fractaling of form, right? It's like themes. Katie, you just lost a babysitter. I feel like you gained and lost a babysitter since last we heard from Pip himself. And now your son is going to this older woman. First, where are you at in your life, and what are you doing when the edges of reality start distorting in a way that doesn't really make sense? We're still kind of going for this surreal, absurd frame.
I think that Pip is trying to, live as much of a normal life as he can for the sake of the relationship he has with, he's trying to forge with his son. And, I think what starts happening is his son starts having nightmares. Like very like detailed nightmares that his son can like describe to him what happens and like describe the things in it. And I think that it freaks him out because he also had those same nightmares when he was young, almost down to like the exact way that Flynn describes it.
Okay. So this is incredibly disconcerting.
Just a little bit.
What does Pip do about this? Now, this manifestation, the darkness in the situation, which is the inexplicably specific nightmares. And these are things with such unique and non I guess generic or mundane. Like they don't have, it's not just like he has nightmares of teeth falling out, because a lot of people have nightmares of teeth falling out. These are like very, very specific. I guess, is it of a different world? Is it of fears? Is it of, are they chasing dreams? Are they?
I think it's dreams of like this immeasurable, like empty, vast place that just has this sort of strange feeling to it. It's a very unnerving sort of feeling. And then someone off in the distance that you just can't quite reach.
All right. So it's very specific. The pitch of this voice that you can't quite hear, the details, the impossible spectrum of colors that kind of shimmer in this vast place, colors that his waking eyes cannot see or comprehend. These are exactly the same things that Flynn experienced. And now you have this knowledge. What do you do about it?
I think that Pip tries to be in denial of it, actually. I think he tries to tell Flint, in his mind, his ex has just, maybe he's mentioned this kind of stuff to his ex in passing in the past, back a long time ago. He doesn't really remember it, but that's clearly what's happening, and she's mentioned it to Flynn, so he's dreaming about it. And so Pip just has like these conversations with his son that are just like, it's not real. It's a dream. It can't hurt you. Anything that goes on in your mind when you're asleep isn't going to hurt you. So he sort of like, I guess, tries to talk his way around it and act like, and sort of denies that there's anything wrong.
All right, so you're trying to rationalize?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like this is mind?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. Where is my roller? It's a good roll.
Yeah, I'll keep it.
Okay, so you get 3 more points to spend on mind. And so rationalizing seems to work. You're able to construct a convincing enough narrative for yourself that you don't have to dwell and obsess about these bizarrely and shakingly specific nightmares that your son described to you. Cool. All right, Dave. You are a lumberjack. You're trying to reconnect with your lost wife. Your daughter got a babysitting job and maybe seems like she's going through some emotional times. And something really weird happens, something inexplicable, something that kind of, there's a shimmering of reality. There's a fractal of comprehension that interrupts your life. What's going on?
I think I start. I think sometimes it's dreams, sometimes it borders on hallucinations when I'm alone, of seeing my wife in the woods and running out to meet her and having her vanish into mist in front of my eyes.
Okay. Does this happen multiple times or just once?
I think it happens multiple times.
Do you try to, I guess, yeah, what do you do in these situations? Are you just so much in shock that you watch, or do you try to approach?
I think I approach and try to. Sometimes she disappears when I try to call out to her. Sometimes she fades to mist when I try to approach or try to hug her, but invariably before I can ever quite reach her.
Okay. So how do you feel these interactions are? Are you trying to like connect bodily, physically, or is this more an emotional nearness?
I think it's an emotional nearness, sort of represented by the physical nearness that I'm trying to.
Okay. So you're feeling soul?
Yeah, I think that'll
Okay.
fit.
It's an okay roll.
I think that even though sometimes it hurts to see her fade away, I think invariably the next time I see her like that, I do the exact same thing.
Okay. It's a bad roll.
Yikes.
So when you try to approach and she mists away, what else about the situation becomes strange or surreal to you as well?
I think sort of the woods become darker almost. Like the trees don't seem like they're standing straight up like the pillars they are. Instead, they seem to lean in around me.
All right. Do they keep trying?
I think I do.
It's a good roll.
Okay.
So you push through, even though it gets worse and worse every time. How do you, I mean, so you don't solve this problem. You never catch her. She always goes to miss. But what about this connection do you end up feeling okay about? Or do you end up...
I think I learned to accept that me trying to close the distance won't close it completely.
Okay. All right. Do you still go out into the woods, or have they affected you in your work?
I think they still do go out into the woods. I think it affected my work for a while, especially with sleepless nights and stuff, but they still go out.
Okay. Summer.
Yes.
So you lost your babysitting job, and that guy never like called you or followed up. So what does your life look like now, and what are you doing when it starts to unfurl in unexplainable ways?
Yeah, I think I go back to like kickboxing all the fucking time. Or at least when I'm free, because I'm like in this weird in between of like not really having a job and also being stuck in this city that I don't really like. Because especially now that dad is like alone, the family pressure of staying is way more. But I'm struggling a little bit with this one. I had an idea. I just don't really know how to work it in.
Okay. What is the idea?
Well, that she drowns. That's my idea. But, and then obviously it comes back somehow.
All right. So is she like going swimming? And
yeah, I like to think that there's probably a pool at the gym that she goes and like she kicks boxes, then does a couple laps, and then generally will chill in the hot tub for a little bit before she goes. And I don't exactly, I don't know why she would, but
does she fall asleep in the hot tub because she's exerted and pushing herself? And when she comes to with like a paramedic over her, you are greeted with surprise because, I mean, you had chemical water in your lungs for several minutes. You hadn't been breathing.
Yeah.
Okay. What did she experience? Did you have memories from that time?
Yeah, I do. I think that she, like, if it kind of felt like she lived her whole life again, but her mom didn't leave. And so when she woke up, she was confused that her mom was gone. Like when she got home.
Okay. So you don't even it doesn't seem like you've just woken up from a dream. It just seems like these have...
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you start kind of seeing how reality is different from this.
Yeah. I think her mom didn't left. I think she didn't get fired from that babysitting job. There's like minute changes that happened. She maybe even never went to school. Like maybe she's always been there, but there's like all these changes that don't line up. And she's like having a hard time figuring out what's true. Like what's the reality? She's like constantly making discoveries of things that are different from how she remembers them.
Okay. And some of them are kind of significant. Like
it's like all the significant choices you make in your life, she made the opposite choice.
Okay. Are there small ones in there too? Like she realizes her shoes are a different color, or like the walls in her
There
room?
probably are
Okay.
small differences, but she's probably constantly running across those.
Yeah. Huh. All right. How is she reacting to these?
Probably not good. I would say that this is, I'm kind of torn between mind and soul for this one, of her like trying, I kind of feel like she's trying to rationalize it with like, she's trying to, like she's probably seeing like a therapist.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. You just had a near-death experience, and
Yeah.
yeah. So let's go to the therapist. All right. Okay. That's a bad roll.
Yeah.
Does the therapist take you seriously, or does that feeling of like superiority kind of bubble up in a way that maybe no one can understand you?
I think that the therapist is making things worse. They're perpetuating my conflicting ideas rather than like trying to help me understand what's what, or like giving me tools to separate them. They're kind of like pushing me further into this mixed reality.
So they're kind of like asking you to explore and like spend more time thinking about that.
I think they're, rather than being uninterested, they're too interested in what I've experienced. And it's making it bad for me mentally.
All right. Are you leaving it at that, or?
No, I want to keep going.
Okay. This was mind. It's an okay roll.
So maybe while it's not exactly helping me, it's not exactly hurting me either. It's definitely confusing me further. But I'm starting to figure out things that like bigger differences, or like trying to get to the bottom of what's going on.
Okay. And it's not something that you can like understand why it happened or even what necessarily it is, but you're piecing together what were originally just like broken blips of otherworld.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you keep going?
I kind of do. I kind of want to.
It's an okay roll.
Okay.
So a little bit more of the same. Do you kind of hit a tipping point? Do you continue seeing the therapist ultimately?
I think, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Keep seeing them.
Kind of maybe knowing that they are not providing the solutions that you originally intended them to do, but you're kind of exploring this other path now.
I think they've become a crutch.
Okay.
Probably not a good one, but
healthy.
Some kind of they have become my coping mechanism.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of what therapists are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Dingo. So you are connecting with this kid. Your life was kind of you hit a really low point when your wife left. But you're building this relationship with this kid, and it's getting you out of the house a lot more than maybe even realized at the time. But while you're out and about, things get weird.
Things do get weird. I almost have an idea for things getting weird at home, but I don't have an idea for things getting weird out in the world.
Oh no, that's okay.
I think at home, I think of her house. I'm just gonna name her right now. Her name's Opal. I think at Opal's house, it's very, very, very cluttered, and the walls are very, very cluttered with paintings and pictures of like family and friends and those little like, has anybody, not to bring horses into this, but has anybody seen the paintings where it's like it's like of a snowy landscape, but then you have to look at it a certain way, and then suddenly it's 3 horses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of those kinds of like paintings. But I think when she's at home, she starts to realize that they're watching her. And that some of the ones, even the ones without eyes, they start to like, it almost seems like they're slowly melting.
Okay.
Even though it's not a particularly warm place in the summer.
Yeah. Is she noticing that in the same way that one was like a snowy mountain, but also 3 horses, is she noticing that some of the other paintings kind of have these dual or even triple images and other layers to them that she never noticed before?
Yeah. I think ones that she knows aren't supposed to, because she knows that, you know, these 1 or 2 particular paintings, that's what she liked about them, was that they're, you know, they were sort of 2 in 1. Thought she was getting a 2-for-1 deal. And now she's starting to see these images and these other paintings that she has, but they're not exactly pleasant, like 3 horses.
Oh no, I just got an image of all those like non-centaur things, like the centaur, but it's all just like people arms, or like the centaur where it's like half of a horse coming out of the top of a head. Are you familiar? Those aren't pleasant pictures.
Those aren't pleasant pictures.
Or it's just that girl.
So what is Opal doing about it?
That is holy.
I was like laughing, nobody's laughing. I was like, oh, I guess it wasn't funny.
Please put that. Please link it. Please put it.
Okay, I will.
Oh fuck!
I'm gonna put a link for everybody in chat of the girl that I'm talking about.
Oh, this is actually what Opal sees.
So I just made the assumption that it was the Momo girl. Is it?
No.
Is it not Momo?
It's a girl who literally runs like a horse, but running like a horse isn't scary, but jumping over a fucking picnic table like a horse,
it's unnerving.
Is scary.
It's really unnerving.
The whole thing is spine should be broken.
Her spine is fucked up. She can't stand up straight. I'm convinced.
So just imagine that's Opal's biggest fear, just running at her all the time. It's the worst video. It's so bad.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You brought horses into this dingo.
Yeah, so what does Opal do about this woman that runs like a horse?
So I think as Opal's starting to see these things, she's starting to not feel safe in her own home, which was the one place that was safe. And I don't think she feels like she can get close enough to like take these pictures down, but I think she starts avoiding most of the rooms in her house that she doesn't absolutely need to go into.
Okay. Stopping horse video. Okay, what role are we doing?
Maybe it's I know.
It's horrifying. I love it.
So you have used Mind, Body, and Soul each once. So you can now reuse one of them. Just kind of knowing that one of those has only ever been used once and won't be used again. One of them is going to be used one other time, and one of them is going to be used 2 other times.
I'm wondering if this is Mind.
Okay. It kind of sounds like the original plan of, her planning and scheduling times and places so that she can keep herself safe. And now she's just doing that instead of in the town in her own home.
Yeah.
Cool. It's an okay roll.
Okay. I mean, obviously she can't, like, she has to go into her kitchen, which probably connects to the living room, to eat. And so she isn't completely capable of avoiding all of these pictures, but I think she's gonna keep trying to figure out other ways to avoid them.
All right, let's find out what those other ways are. Oh, that's a bad roll.
She catches you in her noise.
Yeah. So, what about the situation changes in such a way that her careful and meticulous steps and her averting her gaze no longer works?
They start appearing in other places in the house. The pictures move to different walls.
That's upsetting. Pictures of family members you don't have. Paintings of women running like horses. Jesus, I'm sorry. Does she stay in her house? Can she stay in her house?
I think she does stay. I think I want to give it one more go.
It's an okay roll.
Okay.
All right. So she kind of tried to create this plan where she would avoid the paintings, but then it spread and expanded. It was unavoidable. And I imagine that kind of hit a low point. It made it difficult to really interact with Flynn. But something pulls her out of that most manic spot. And while the situation hasn't resolved itself, she has some means of, avoiding it in maybe a way that's different than before. What do you think that might be?
I think she starts hanging sheets up on all of her walls, trying to cover them up. I don't think she gets all of them, and obviously sheets fall down. But I think it's sort of a temporary fix for her, that she just keeps putting these sheets back up on the walls.
All right. And does Flynn think that's kind of odd?
Yeah, I think he does think it's a little odd. I think she tries to play it off like it could be some kind of like blanket fort situation, but I don't think he's really into that kind of thing. So it doesn't really, he just thinks it's weird.
All right. Weird grandma. Katie. So we have the reconciliation with the light. The character attempts to return to their mundane life, turning their back on the darkness, and therein lies the fifth obstacle. Their memory is haunted by the darkness, but they still struggle to achieve some modicum of normalcy. The obstacle itself is the character's act of removing or distancing themselves from the aspect of their life previously affected by the darkness. You might move or separate or shift a personal philosophy, but you are doing something to remove yourself from that which introduced this darkness into you, or the manifestation of this darkness, to try to find normalcy again, because the idea of this surreal thing that you encountered is just too troubling. What does that mean for Pip, whose son has nightmares that are exactly the same as his nightmares?
I don't really know, actually.
Okay. So with this, you kind of tried to rationalize that that Flynn's nightmares were a product of your ex's meddling. And that kind of rationalization stayed intact for the most part, but it seems fragile. So what sacrifices or what decisions does Pip need to make in order to keep that rationalization intact and maybe not hear more about nightmares or continue to build reinforcements for why the X is unintelligible, or in a different direction? Does he just pour himself more into work? Does he I guess is he trying to make a change? Is he avoiding Flynn? Does his interactions with Flynn, this son who he was interacting with, change in any significant way?
I think he's trying to keep up a normal life for Flynn. I think he like starts working a little bit more, taking more jobs on, so he'll have a little bit of extra like money to do things with Flynn. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he just wants to like give Flynn some stability. Which is really hard if he's like being carted back and forth between his mom and his dad, and also agoraphobic grandmother.
Yeah. All right. So we're trying to find this stability, this routine, and that means work. That means funds. That means kind of standard ideas of what a life. It's interesting that it seems Pip always seems to go back to, I need to do whatever I can to provide for. When it was for the X, it was, I need to work as hard as I can, stealing. But now this is, I need to do these under the table jobs as much as I can to provide for the son. So this is something he's diving into.
Yeah. I would say just like before, like it'd probably be body, because he's like working harder.
Okay.
Doing harder things.
It's a good roll.
I'll keep it.
Okay. So you pour yourself into your work. You're good at it. You probably started building a reputation. You know, originally you were somebody who couldn't hold down a job, but you know, now you're kind of getting some respect as somebody willing to do hard jobs, you know, for a fair rate and without all the meddlesome paperwork that not everybody wants to deal with when they're, you know, patching a roof or something like that. So that's going well. You're getting a little bit more income and you're focusing on providing a life for Flynn and trying to keep that normal for him, and just kind of keeping this idea of it's all normal and it's all fine, and I just need to provide for him because his mom is a bad influence, because his mom is telling him lies or tricking him, or mom's unable to provide.
Yeah.
All right. Dave.
That's me.
That is you. Okay, so you're lumberjack.
Yes.
The wife was shifting, so that forest was really imprinting on you. Is your return to normalcy, is you're turning your back on this manifestation of darkness being the surreal supernatural elements in the world. Do they change their job, or do they go to another area to avoid that space, or how do they approach this now?
I think they end up sort of redoubling their efforts in lumberjacking, focusing very much on the job and stuff.
Okay.
Pouring themselves into their work for chopping down trees, even if it isn't moving around to a different area of the forest.
Okay. So maybe they felt like they were letting themselves get too distracted before, and so...
Yeah. Plus, I think in not going towards the visions or hallucinations, they're just staying where they are and continuing work.
Okay. All right. So are we doing mind, body, and soul? You've done soul twice so far.
I think body makes the most sense here.
Body makes the most sense. Okay, and so that puts mind into your tertiary position.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a good roll.
Should I risk it? I'll take it. We'll see what ends up happening with the last section. I think that helping chop down the trees sort of like it gets me back into the rhythm of like the day-to-day life again.
Okay. That's a good feeling. Oh yeah, also briefly, how do you feel about your daughter almost dying and having
I think that's part of why I threw myself so much into the work, sort of a coping mechanism for that as well.
Okay. Are you trying to spend more time with her?
I think with the therapist costs that it ends up I have to spend a lot more time on the job in order to make ends meet.
Yeah, because I just started seeing them more and more, right?
Mm-hmm.
What an awful therapist. All right, Summer. So you have been seeing this therapist a whole lot and has been really focusing on this exploration of this weird anomaly that's been going on in your life.
Yeah.
What now causes you to try to turn your back on something so surreal and bizarre and troubling and attempt to find normalcy or routine?
I think that Katie, did you ever pick a name for your ex?
No, you want to name her?
I don't really care. She doesn't really need a name. She can just be the bitch as far as I'm concerned. Only because I think that I show up for my job because I get confused and she fucking chews me out and she starts accusing me of like trying to get with you, which is like true, but also how dare you make assumptions about what I want? Yeah, nothing happened, lady, and apparently you fired me. I guess it worked, whatever. So I think that happens and it kind of snaps me out of like, I actually do need to figure out what the differences are because I can't make mistakes like this anymore. I think it hurt my feelings just enough.
All right. Okay, you're gonna pull my headphones out again. If you know, you can't stay up there. Unhook yourself. I apologize. So does she try to? How does she try to learn more about what is actually real, or does she try to like reconcile?
She starts keeping a dream journal.
Oh.
Because her dreams are the things that happened when she drowned, and reality is what she's seeing in front of her. So she takes it with her. It's kind of like a dream journal, but it's also like a day-to-day diary of like comparison notes. And I think that I'm kind of feeling soul just because she's like studying dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's an okay roll.
Okay.
So keeping this journal helps, I feel like, reestablish the obvious stuff so you don't really make the mistakes. You don't show up where you never worked, or you don't greet somebody in the street that you thought you were friends with. And it helps with that sort of thing. But you do notice that it still keeps this connection to that that other memory life, and it almost continues to make it just real but separate. So it's kind of like it works, but it doesn't, you're not removed from it. Do you keep going?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad roll. All right. So what in this process kind of causes, do you have another moment that comes to a head? Or do you feel as you start learning these differences, do you start comparing the differences? Do you start choosing the better option of one versus the other to try to make one real?
I think that there are aspects of the dream world that are worse, but what she sees, the glimpses that she's getting, it seems better. So she starts like kind of that thing that she was doing with her mom, where she was kind of like trying to will that connection, like will put it out into the universe that she was going to find her mother, and then she did.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's doing that, but with aspects of her dream world and trying to like kind of start to will them into this one.
So kind of thinking about how that still connects to a mundane life, and maybe what she had and things that she could affect.
Mm-hmm.
An idea that I have, and take it or leave it. So one of the most recent major changes is in the dream world, she wasn't fired from the job. She still had a connection with Pip. Does she try to, in the waking world, rekindle that connection?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So this is a way where it's like there's both the trying to focus on the dream world, but also just trying to correct the normal world to be more like the dream world.
I think also just another thing that she starts doing is she hadn't tried to convince her mom to come home up to this point, but in her dream world, her mom is back. So
Okay.
I think she starts trying to like start to leave little like hints with her, like maybe you should come home, like starts to try and like make that happen.
Okay. So
too.
that's a good roll. So you notice that when you kind of focus on what's actually real and true and seeing how you can affect that instead of, trying to interact with this dream world that still remains so incomprehensible. It's so difficult to wrap your head around those sorts of things, but you get these feelings and you can kind of guide what's in front of you towards those feelings. It kind of starts working.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time, your mom's responses seem less like "I'm fine, don't worry about me," and more reaching back. Do you reconnect with Pip? Do you like do something else, or do you interact with him at all? Is that something that is worthwhile?
Katie, what do you think? Yes.
Yeah, sure. I'm waiting for this.
Yeah, I would say yes. Maybe she approaches it a little bit differently. Like she's trying to not only see the differences, but understand what makes them different, like what has created these differences. And I think that one of these things was she came on a little less strong to create a relationship more naturally rather than just forcing herself into somebody's life by
I think it fits too that he's looking for stability at that time for Flynn.
Yeah.
All right.
Was that 3 rolls for me?
Yes, that was.
Okay.
And the last one was good.
Awesome.
All right, Dingo. So you have put up these sheets, and you kind of you are trying to create this sense of normalcy. What do you do to shield yourself from the strangeness, and what forms an anchor point for a normal and stable life for you here?
I think it pushes her out to the book club, and she starts spending more time at, I think it's held at another old lady's house, probably across town, and I think she makes more treks out there, probably to the point where she's even like, I think she's even gotten herself to stay there a couple of nights just to get away from the house and be able to ignore it further. yeah, I think it's kind of put her into this routine of leaving the house.
Okay. So with, and this is kind of also involves you, Summer, with Opal being a little bit more active in those sorts of things, I imagine she takes Flynn along sometimes, but Flynn also maybe has a sports activity with Summer, your character doesn't have a name?
She does. I just haven't said it yet. It's Ellie.
Ellie. Okay. With Ellie, so some of those responsibilities go back to being shared. Is that something? Or you can say no to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what you've rolled so far. So you have done mind twice. So you can do any of the three. What do you feel like this connection is? Is it planning, or is it a little bit more emotional and connective?
I think it's a little more emotional and connective. Just because I think she's pursuing socializing as a way to escape it.
Okay.
Which isn't in her usual wheelhouse of coping mechanisms. Would that be soul?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
So that is an okay roll. So she is moving around a little bit more. It's kind of restructuring her life. There's changes that she has to make. She's been going through a lot of changes lately. And those are hard. Those are stressful. But they seem to be productive. So maybe it feels like, even if it's not paying off right now, it feels like a good direction. Does she keep kind of reaching for more stability? Are you going to leave it at that? Or are you?
I think she does. And I think because this feels like such a good direction to her, and that she kind of sees where it's going, even though it's not panning out completely right now, I think she puts her house up on the market.
Oh, all right. That is a good roll. So you put your house up on the market. You get it appraised. It's worth, more than you thought it was going to be. And are you selling it furnished?
Yes.
Partially furnished.
Oh, so on the listing it says horse girl pictures included.
All paintings included.
Charming rustic decor included.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of it is being sold.
And there's interest to it. It's going well. Do you want to say that you have sold it? Is that the good conclusion? Or
yeah.
Okay. So you sell it, you get a whole lot, and then do you continue to live alone, or do you move in roommate style with one of your book club friends? Shared living space.
I think I do like the idea of her sharing a home with one of the other older ladies. Like maybe the home is just too big for one little lady, but with the two of them, it doesn't seem quite so big and empty.
All right. Yeah. So those were two rolls. You're feeling good. Does she push this farther? Is she trying to make more of this normal life? Is she trying to build something more, or are we kind of happy with where she is now in her attempt to reconcile with the light?
I think the fact that she moved in with another book club lady is sort of pushing it for her, is pushing that further.
Okay, so you feel like that's the third roll?
Yeah.
That's a good roll.
They start dating.
Nice. Shoot. All right. Yeah, so maybe they take it slow. Maybe they're like, shit, we don't know how much longer we have left. Let's have fun with this. Whatever their speed, they make a good Yeah, they're making a good, comfortable home situation, and,
Mhm.
and it feels good. And the house is out. And I'm assuming in that moving process, you probably got rid of some of your ex-wife's stuff, some of those secret possessions, some of like that sort of.
Some of it, but not all of it.
Right.
A majority of it, though. I think she literally just left it all in the house, didn't bother to throw anything away. Figured the next people who come in can do that.
Mm-hmm.
She's tiny and old and doesn't want to deal with it.
All right. Katie.
That's me.
The last step is the embarkation into darkness. The sixth and final obstacle is the door the character inevitably finds himself seeking, a return to the darkness. The darkness, or at least the shakable memory thereof, has tainted all aspects of the character's life, so the character abandons their anchors of humanity and explores what cannot ever be truly understood. The results of the previous obstacle will directly affect how the darkness returns and on what terms the character introduces themselves to it. So, you were building this stable life. You were trying to keep a relationship with your son with maybe a healthy distance so you don't have to hear too much about the nightmares. But something happens. It's more than just you're told another nightmare. You are exposed to something so unshakably specific. You maybe see something that Flynn sees, or something is projected. Something opens itself so wide that you cannot look away and draws you in. What
I
is that?
think it's one night that Flynn is staying with Pip. They both have the same exact dream. But when they wake up, neither of them can really remember. I think that there's enough little details that they both know it was exactly the same, and they both have that sort of grave, dreadful feeling, like in the gut. You had a nightmare that you can't remember, and then the day passes, and his mom never comes to pick them up because his mom ends up being killed. At the motel, I think that they go to find her, and they just find her dead body there. And I think it hits Pip that was what the dream was. Seeing it in real life in front of him gives him this flashback to the nightmare that he had the night before.
When Pip becomes cognizant of the nightmare, did he and Flynn see or acknowledge each other in the nightmare? Were they aware of each other?
No, they both experienced the same nightmare, but as their own, separate selves.
Okay.
But when, I think Flynn's waiting in the car, and Pip is the one that, sort of edges his way into the motel room, and he finds a body, and just that he looks back over his shoulder to Flynn in the car, and I think there's that moment of realization. They're both remembering what the dream was.
All right. So they have this disturbing, hyper-realistic dream, but also exposes to them, in the light of this tragedy, they become aware of this undeniable mental dream connection. What does Pip do about that? How do you turn and face it?
I think Pip tries to begin to take Flynn to the same therapist that Ellie is seeing. Because in that sense, he wants to help Flynn, and doesn't really care about helping himself. And I think he sort of starts to deteriorate into this shell of himself. It wasn't that he loved his ex at that point, but that was still the mother of his child. They still had a relationship, and also he just found her there, and it was very. And now he's dealing with his son. He didn't expect to have this sort of full responsibility for him. for someone he doesn't really know.
All right. What are we rolling for that? Let's see.
Soul, maybe?
Let's see how many options you have.
I honestly don't know.
Okay. So you've used body and mind twice each, and soul once. So soul is kind of locked in as your tertiary. So you could use body or mind to kind of set it as primary.
Maybe mind again?
Okay.
Like planning and trying to figure out how to fix everything with Flynn and sort of ignoring himself.
That's a bad roll.
Can I roll again? Do I have another one left?
Yeah, you get 3. So this is the first one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then I'll roll again.
Okay. So you try to build this life. That one was okay. So your initial reaction to this might be overreactive, might be a little extreme or dramatic, but you pull back and you're able to kind of find a balance, as fragile as that might be. Do you want to try a third time?
What was the second roll?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll try again.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so as you continue to you were trying to build a life for Flynn, but now you actually have to be there. One of the other things about this step is essentially embracing this strangeness. So what is a key act of attempting to understand or step into the bizarre? And then kind of the end of this stage is what brings us all together and puts us all in the part where you're acting as a group, essentially. So you have brought Flynn to the therapist because does that come from like an understand or a want of understanding to find out more about these dreams and what the connection was, or what your
I don't
role...
think Pip cares much about his connection to them, as he just wants his son to be okay.
Okay. All right.
How many points is that?
9.
Okay, cool.
And then Dave.
That's me.
Yeah. Let's see. We left you as working hard and trying to just kind of like focus, but that image of your wife, it almost seems stronger. I mean, you're not aware, but Ellie is actively trying to draw her back into your lives.
Yeah, I think I would really like to build on that if it's okay with Summer. I think she does come back. And I think this is like where we are now, if it makes sense with other people. That I can't really tell the difference anymore. Does that make sense?
Can't tell the difference between
Mist mom and real mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I think Mist Mom appears more in other situations that she hadn't in the past, and I don't know whether or not it's really her, and it's very disorienting.
All right. So these things have kind of collided for you, and there's a sense of your wife is here and you can physically hold her, but you also have this image of maybe she could turn to mist at any time. And sometimes you see this ephemeral image and you're not sure if you can hold her or not. What are you doing to try to, I guess, seize or unify or face this situation. And to kind of, go ahead.
Oh, go. I was just going to say, I think what I would like to do is sort of try to work on learning like the differences and sort of being able to feel which one is actually her and which one is a vision.
Okay. When you say feel, is this a physical thing like body?
I think
or
it's
like a
more
spiritual thing like
spiritual.
soul? Okay. So let's roll your soul. What's a bad roll?
I think this is really disorienting at first and makes any transition at the beginning extremely rough. I don't know necessarily how it affects Summer's character, but I think they are essentially, they sort of draw away from everyone for a while. But still, I think more often than not, they're getting it backwards for which one is real and which one is fake because they've dealt with the fake one for so long.
So you had described before when the force twisted and was strange. Do you notice that continued to happen, but in other places?
I think it sometimes happens when the real one is around, or at least I see it happening. I don't know.
All right. So that was a bad roll. Did you want to do it again?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an okay roll.
I think that some progress has been made in reconnecting, but there's still a lot of confusion and chaos mixed into the whole thing.
Are you feeling a third?
I thought the first two were bad, and then the third was okay.
Oh, I have one bad for you.
I'll quit after two then.
Quit after two? Okay. Okay. So that was you've retreated, but now you're kind of still trying to find that shaky stability.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Summer, so your dad's having some tough times. You're okay. So Summer,
Yes.
did your mom come back?
Yeah.
Okay. So your mom is back and your dad seems to be having an interesting time with it. But this is about your embarkation into darkness. So this is you embracing this strangeness. Lay it on me.
I got a real juicy one. I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
So she has this dream, as she does, where she kind of gets like a glimpse into the other world. And in this dream, she's boning Pip. And his ex shows up and shoots her and kills her. And she wakes up and she has a bloody nose and blood on her hands, and then hears in the news that she died, the ex.
I just want everyone to know that I just got a private message that says I'm going to be really extra with my answer. She didn't let me down, did she?
Wow.
So
That's
in the
so
dream, she died. And in the reality, the ex died. And she wakes up with blood on her.
Okay. Yeah, so what is she doing about this? So you've kind of locked body into your tertiary role.
Yeah.
You've got mind and soul.
Yeah, I'm gonna use soul.
Okay.
I think she's taken the deep dive into. So in this reality, she almost died, and in the other reality, she died. So she's kind of feeling like she escaped death somehow, and she feels like she has some new purpose. Like there has to be a purpose to knowing about both realities and escaping death by coming to this one, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She feels like two people walked in a body right now, which is super fun. And she's trying to sense out what that calling is, why this is happening to her.
Okay. So that was a bad roll.
Yeah.
And what I'm kind of thinking is this is the first time Ellie's really confronted the idea specifically of how death plays a role in it. So I'm going to say some of these dreams, some of these images, some of these differences deal specifically with either like being dead or death. And how do those images and those feelings like shake you?
I don't think she's well, because she has survived death.
Mhm.
She is kind of spurred on by that.
Okay.
Like she's like, if she keeps coming up against this brick wall of like death, she's still she found a workaround in this life, so there's got to be another workaround. She just doesn't know what it is yet. She thinks she's just not in tune with whatever this sentence is. Keep trying.
Oh, that's another bad roll.
Oh fuck, it's not going well. It's obviously having a serious impact on her mental health.
How does this start affecting the life around her? What is the therapist's interest in this? Pip, I'm assuming you run into him at the therapist's office when he is dropping off Flynn. I mean, there might have even been a day that Opal drops off Flynn, but we can talk about that too on Dingo's turn. So how does it start affecting the relationships around her? What does she think about her mom? Is she trying to learn about this time missing? And how does this kind of jumble things? Or how does it not address the obstacle, I guess?
I think that she's so focused on a different world, she doesn't really pay attention to this one as much as she used to. She kind of feels like she conquered this one. It comes back to that like cocky feeling of like, I'm better than this. She survived this one. She's trying to figure out how to fucking beat the levels that she hasn't beat yet. So she starts kind of withdrawing from the relationships. And when she does participate in the relationships, it's very obviously consumed with thoughts of something else. Like she's very distracted. And if she is paying attention, she's paying attention for fucking notes. Like she's trying to figure out differences, and like she's probably not a very fun person to be around right now.
Right. Do you want one more?
Although she would be super interested if she heard about them dreams that Pip and his son were having. Just saying. Yeah, I would like to try one more time.
That's a good roll.
Oh, thank God.
So in this absolute focus and just kind of dissociation, you find what you're looking for. You accomplish your goal. Your goal was to get in tune. What's that like? You find a resonance.
How spooky can we be with this? How much supernatural can start coming into the real world?
Go wild.
I think she can at will see both choices of like the end of both choices that she makes of this reality and another one. So she can basically call on that other universe to help make decisions for her.
Okay. So that kind of, you can, at any given moment, you can kind of see two forking paths.
She doesn't have to dream anymore to see it.
Yeah. That seems like a good place to put that.
Yeah.
All right. So Dingo, Opal has formed a nice and lovely life with her. But what does she do when she starts noticing that her new partner's paintings are strange and start showing images that she had never seen before?
I think she kind of loses it a little bit and starts pulling these pictures off of the walls and turning them around and throwing them out, just throwing them right in the garbage. And I think she's tried to explain it to her girlfriend again and again, who doesn't really understand, but is trying her best not to upset Opal. And I don't think it even really helps because, god damn, sir. I don't think it even really helps because Opal starts seeing this not only in the pictures now, but in the books she's reading with the book club. She can't keep up with the book club because the words aren't right. You know, they've fallen off the page. Some of them just say like one or two sentences, putting together words and phrases that she doesn't understand. It's sort of started to consume all of the, I guess, media around her.
All right. What's she gonna do about that?
Good question.
All right. Let's look at. So you've used body once, so that's tertiary, and we've got mind and soul, and again, it kind of like falls to this. Is it this a rationalization, or is this a? I don't want to necessarily go to emotional response, but like soul deals a lot with power of intuition or the direct interaction with like supernatural things. So is she trying to maintain rooted in like these things are wrong, or is she putting herself towards interacting with these things on their level?
That's a good question.
And I guess considering the influences in her life as well, with, you know, Flynn, and, you know, he's probably mentioned the nightmares a little bit, but he's a good kid. His dad, Pip, who you spend some time with, your partner who you're living with, who she genuinely cares about you, and she's kind of like trying to keep an anchor to, you know, some of these strange stories that are happening in this cute, small lakeside tourist town. Right as tourist season is starting to spike, a woman was shot dead in a motel. A woman reappears after being missing for a significant amount of time. It seems like the world is getting weirder around her, but also there are forces close to her which are stabilizing.
I almost think it's more interesting if maybe she tries, instead of rejecting it, leaning into it.
So what happens when she... Go ahead.
And maybe trying to actually look at these pictures for an extended period of time and just seeing what happens.
All right. That's an okay roll. What does she see? It doesn't provide her the answers that she would want, but there's enough stability and there's enough reassurance that she could maybe keep trying.
I don't think she sees anything bad. She just sees things that are strange. And probably related to things going on in the town. So she might see Ellie's mom wandering through the woods. She might see Pip's ex laying on the bed. Just things that she didn't seek out, news stories that she didn't look at, but things that are happening in the town.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some things that haven't even come to pass yet.
All right.
But I think she keeps trying because I think she knows that these things are constantly changing.
It's a good roll. So she has decided to pursue this. She has not looked away, and in a way she was kind of rewarded. What does she do with this knowledge now? or does she continue to share it? Does it concern her?
I think she actually starts sharing it with Flynn. Because I think he's the only one who will really like listen and also talk about these things with her. And I don't think he can like see the same things.
No, yeah, whenever he looks at the paintings, he just sees what they're advertised to be. But he does mention some things that he's dreamt about that match some of your descriptions. Sometimes he'll say a dream and then you'll see that in the painting, or sometimes you'll mention something and it'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. Y'all. Yeah, and I think that actually kind of helps their bond a little bit.
Nice.
They sort of bond over the strange things that they're dreaming about and seeing, and sort of trying to together solve almost like the puzzle of it, trying to make sense of it.
Okay. So we've kind of found a part where they communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Did she push this further? Or is this where we begin the next part of our journey?
I think this is where we leave it.
Okay. So that was 2 rolls. You get 6 points. I'm sure we'll do a whole lot of rolls in the last little chunk of this game.
What did I decide that I was using for that? Was I using mind or was I using
Soul? Yeah, that was
Okay.
soul. Because you kind of embraced and interacted with the strangeness directly.
Great.
All right, so I'll kind of weave this in a quick little narrative, and then I think we're going to take another break. All right. So we are at a place where Dave, I think your character is the only one that doesn't have a name. It's okay if you... Are you just Lumberjack Dad?
You're muted.
I couldn't think of one. At this point, yeah, I basically am.
Okay, yeah. So Lumberjack Dad, they are kind of interacting with the family in a way that almost sort of bridges, I think, Ellie, especially as you see these 2 options, you see that your dad is interacting with both simultaneously, and they don't seem to be aware of what they're doing, but you see that they are interacting with these different elements in just this hyper specific way, and as you have a few times where you see Flynn in passing, he talks about Opal and the way that she has justified these nightmares. And as you start hearing about what he is going to the therapist for, you get a sense that while his deal is different, he's seeing different things. This therapist is now has 2 patients, helping 2 different patients with very weirdly prescient dreams, and is still interested and engaged in them. Pip, Ellie has kind of come back into your life a little bit more as a stability figure, at the same time that your ex has died horribly and tragically in a way that ties into these nightmares that both your son has been having and you had once upon a time, but had once again, and all of these twisted haunting visions and dreams have sort of brought you together, if not physically in the same location right now, very much in a united path towards a surreal happening in the small lakeside town.
Okay, everyone. We'll take a very, very quick break and we will be back. Yeah, hang out with us.
I feel bad because every time it's us five, I'm apparently just out of it.
Well, we're live, everyone.
Oh, hi.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, whatever. She said we're going live. I don't know.
Oh, I heard we are live.
No, I mean,
No.
she said we were going live before you started talking.
Yeah,
Well, I thought I would have a few more seconds. Okay, that was on me.
he's sleepy. He's sleepy, baby.
It's late.
He's a sleepy.
Shush.
I mean, to be fair, normally Lex is with us and is more out of it than anyone.
That's true. We
Yeah,
have Lex's
You don't
sleepiness
have Lex as a reference
counterbalance.
frame. Now I'm the one who's out of it. Usually I can just sink in my chair and be like, it's drama.
Well, you know, it's either you're sleepy with us naturally or off of Benadryl, so it's fine.
Well, the Benadryl was worse, but I did wake up to laugh about shitting myself as a wizard.
I love it. This is going to be recorded on YouTube for posterity. Anyway, go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, so welcome to the game. All right, so what we're going to do for this last little bit, because this game is a lengthy one, we're going to break it out into 2 parts. This final scene kind of brings everybody together, gives your characters an opportunity to actually interact with each other. And we'll leave it on maybe a cliffhanger to pick up on another session. Okay, so let's start with Dave. Are you doing okay? Am I putting you on the spot if I make you do the role play first?
Okay, let's see.
Okay,
Just get out of the way. Rip the Band-Aid off.
I imagine there is a scene where Ellie realizes that her dad is somehow capable of interacting with these now 2 divergent realities that she can see without really being aware of it. But also, you know, maybe she hasn't talked to her dad in a while. So the scene is set there. What are your... Oh. I can provide more staging. You were at home. Ellie's goals are to, I imagine, kind of practice a little bit more this like newfound sense that you've kind of honed to the point of, as you described, you know, having if not mastery, like an ability to actually kind of control it. And then I'm imagining, did we decide officially that Lumberdad is named Forrest?
Yeah, I think they are.
Okay. All right. So
I've named Mom too. Fuck. I had it down, but I closed out of my fucking Roll20. I don't remember what it is. It was like Daisy or something like that.
Okay. Daisy works. Plant names.
Yeah, and that's why I did it. I looked up lumberjack names, and those were both on a list.
Oh, good.
It was called Chic Lumberjack Names for both.
Yep, that's absolutely.
They literally had like oak for one of them.
Yeah, just tree names.
It was all just tree names. Yeah.
And
Anyway.
so the way that things shift and contort occasionally, when you next come to find your daughter, because you don't live with your parents, Ellie, right? You're staying somewhere else?
No,
Or are
I
you
do.
staying-
I
Okay.
do live with them.
Yeah. So there's a moment that you come home like usual and you see Ellie where she often is like usual, but something unusual about it is this sort of halo of distortion around her. Something about the way that the walls and perspective pinch and shift has her as a focal point, and you're not sure if this is a trick of perspective or something that you're really seeing or something. But in that moment, she kind of sees you, and Ellie, you're recognizing this sort of like realization that something's going on with Forrest as well.
Mhm.
But also, your mom's back in the picture. She's not in the room right now, but she was gone. You don't really know why or where or how, and you haven't talked to each other about what you know. I'm assuming Forrest hasn't told Ellie anything about seeing her in the forest, and Ellie certainly hasn't told Forrest anything about
Yeah.
the connection. So you're kind of at this point of, you both know a lot. You both know the other one knows more than they've told. And you're both kind of separately realizing that there's more to this situation than you've
Yeah.
been able to talk about before.
I think that, so what she kind of does to practice is she lays on the couch. And so she does this every day and changes her mind about what she's going to do that day. So she will decide to go do something and then see what happens if she does and what happens if she doesn't.
Okay.
And like got to this point where she was trying to make a decision of if she was going to go out and like go to the gym and go boxing, or if she was going to stay on the couch. And she saw like if she stayed on the couch that you were going to come in. So she decided to wait because she could tell that something was like off. So I think she's already looking at you like when you come in, like she was ready for you.
You okay there, Ellie?
Yeah. Are you okay?
You're giving me a funny look.
Am I?
You're staring at me like you're expecting something.
She kind of like looks away. Something's up with you.
What do you mean?
I mean, something's up with you.
I don't. I mean, I've been working late.
No, it's more than that.
What's up with you? Why are you asking?
Would you tell me the truth if I told you the truth?
I mean, I suppose it's. I think they scratched their beard a bit, and yeah, if you're okay with that.
Okay, so Taylor, I've not read the rules to this game, so I don't know when rolling happens. But here's a thing where she would look to see if she could get him to tell her either way. She would want to know where her choice is. If she should tell him what she sees and he'll tell her the truth, or if she can get him to tell her another way without telling him.
So for me, I feel like those choices would be the soul move projecting. It's because interacting with this fractured world is kind of like interacting with the darkness. So you are projecting your soul in a very deliberate act upon the unknowable. So in this situation, you would, I would have taken your character sheets away, but I'm not really going to sweat it for this. You would roll 2 dice, add them together, and then you would tell me whether or not you thought that was equal to or less, or essentially a success or failure, which would have been equal or less to that stat that you just determined but can no longer see.
Yeah. Do you want me to roll?
Sure.
I actually wouldn't even need to look at this one because it's the only stat I maxed out was projection.
And I think when you say max out, what did you put in it?
12.
Oh, okay. I think the rules say cap it at 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't read the rules. I can change it. It before.
Yeah. So you got an 8. So at this point in time, I would say, do you feel that that is a success or a fail?
I feel that as a success.
Okay, and because it actually is, and I wouldn't tell you in the situation that like, yep, you're right, it was a success. We would describe it as you look to see the answer that you're looking for, and you find it presented in a way that, though confusing and indirect, answers your question.
Okay. So
I
in
thi-
this case,
I think you would see that they really wouldn't tell you um, unless they felt comfortable sharing something like that, because it is something very, you can sense that it's something very troubling that they don't really want to share as they feel other people would understand and accept what they were saying.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you've said out loud yes, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
She was like kind of like laying down on the couch, so I think she like sits up and turns to face you. Well, you know that I've been going to therapy, right?
Yeah, after what happened a few months back.
Well, after that happened, I started to see things. I don't
What do you mean?
It's kind of hard to explain, but I had when I was out, I guess I had a dream or something like that, you know, where your life like flashes before your eyes, except for instead of my life flashing before my eyes, it was like a different, it was still my life, but it was different. And I kept seeing those different things after I woke up.
So you saw someone else's life flash before your eyes?
Well, it was still me, but it wasn't exactly my life.
And you still see this stuff?
When I want to.
Is that something you've talked to Dr. Young about?
Yeah.
What does he say about it?
He thinks it's worth exploring.
And what do you think about it?
I agree.
How's that going? Sorry, I'm awkward at talking about stuff like this.
Well, I mean, before I tell you more, I want to know what your thing is.
It's, I can't say that it's happy. So essentially, you know how your mom's back for a bit, sticking
Yeah.
around. I have had realistic hallucinations about her coming back for a while, and now that she's back, I'm not sure I can quite tell necessarily when it's her, the hallucination. I could, back then I could just know that it wasn't her, but now I can't tell whether it's her or whether it's just another hallucination. And I don't know. It's don't tell her that.
Well, maybe you should go to therapy.
Maybe, but I can barely afford to get you through therapy right now.
Well, you can take some of my sessions. I don't have to go so much.
Oh, it sounds like you're needing the time that you're there. I don't want to take that.
Well, mine aren't hallucinations, though. Not really.
Then what are they?
Like visions.
How is that different from hallucinations?
Hallucinations aren't real.
So what you're saying is what you're seeing is real?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Have you talked to the doctor about that? Because
Well, yeah, of course I have.
sweetie, I'm not a medical professional, but if you're seeing things that aren't there, it's not real.
Okay, well, at least I'm not getting confused between what's here and what's not.
Yeah, but I at least know that one of them isn't real.
But you don't know when?
You know how when you're in a dream, it feels realistic a lot of times, and then you wake up and know that it was a dream? Sort of like that.
See, but I can tell all the time, even when it's happening.
But you still think it's real?
I guess I'm just not explaining it very well.
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
At this moment, Daisy comes in, and Forrest sees her there, and you kind of have this moment of, is this the real Daisy or is it not? You kind of get a little bit of reassurance because Ellie seems to also see her walk in. And Ellie, when you see her, something happens with your visions. It's always been an either or sort of thing. It's been a very two sides of a coin. It's either one or the other. But while they seem to always have lined up, what you see specifically around Daisy as a fulcrum is a split, a branching, a tiny sliver of something that is neither. Something that is void, that is space, that is infinite possibilities and nothingness. Just in the shadow cast behind her walking in. And then the door closes and the realities readjust, and a shudder of mist suggests that she might be there, or both versions of her are there at the same time. But she remains for dinner, and it tastes good enough. And I'll hop over to Pip as you pick up Flynn from Opal's, where he has been, and he and Opal have been having a very engaging conversation about dreams and painting. And one of the recent developments is Flynn likes to draw pictures. And when Flynn draws pictures, they shift and move and wiggle as he's doing them. So when you see other things, they have this way of melting or being one thing or the other, but they're a lot more alive when Flynn draws all of these horses.
God damn it, Taylor.
No
horses in this house.
you had seen this, and he's having fun drawing. He doesn't seem to be aware of this, and the knock on the door is Pip here to have fun.
Yeah, Opal is sort of sitting beside Flynn, and she gives him a pat on the shoulder, and she gets up to go get the door. You're so soon?
Yeah, we got off early today. Finished the job. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Flynn, Pip just looks around at Flynn and sort of waves.
Hi, Dad. I've been drawing pictures.
Yeah. Pack
He's getting
everything
very
up.
good at it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see.
I mean, you can come in. You don't have to rush out so soon.
I wanted to talk to you, if that's okay.
Sure, we can talk in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And she sort of waves you over and heads over to the bread box and pulls out a couple of oatmeal cookies and hands you a couple.
Yeah. He hands them straight to Flynn and ruffles Flynn's hair, and then goes into more to the kitchen with Opal. How's he been since the started therapy? He doesn't really talk to me.
Have you tried talking to him?
Of course I've tried talking to him, Opal, but I just get fine, Dad. Had a lot of fun at Opal's today.
Well, he seems to be doing okay when he's here. He draws a lot. We take our walks. He's troubled, but I think that's only to be expected.
When you say troubled, what do you mean?
Well, how do you think I mean, Pip?
I mean, I would expect some kid whose mom just died to be a little sad and grieving. But he was already a little troubled before it happened, and I'd like to, try to make it better.
Well, I think talking about your dreams together certainly helps. Are you still having the dreams?
No.
Not at all?
Not a one.
You being honest with me, Pip?
Yeah, of course.
Well,
look, it's normal for kids his age to be scared of the dark and monsters under their bed and have nightmares. Just... Are you talking about his dreams with him, Opal?
Of course I am. I mean, if he wants to, I let him talk.
Yeah, and what are you saying to him?
Well, not a whole lot of much.
Yeah, I'm gonna take tomorrow off and just spend some time with him, I guess.
I think that's a good idea. Try taking him out and just maybe walking around the park with him. Fresh air does a lot of people good. Never thought I'd say that, but it really
you've been
does.
getting out more lately, haven't you?
I have, actually, and it's all thanks to your son.
Well, I'm glad he can help you, at least.
It seems like he's really processing things well, but if I'm being honest, the things he's dreaming about, I think you should really pay attention to.
I pay attention to my son, Opal.
I'm not saying that you don't. There's something going on here. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm sure it's nothing.
And at that, Flynn comes in the room with a couple pieces of paper, and he goes up to Opal, and he says, "Here, I drew this one for you, Opal. I know I have to leave soon, so I wanted to leave one for you." And he hands you a picture that is very much the 10-year-old crayon drawing of the mountains with the 3 horses. And like, you know, he's never seen it. You figure you've told him about it, but you know, there are details there that you think might be missing. And then he goes to Pip and he says, "Here, Dad, Mom wanted me to give this one to you." And it's hard to tell what it is. It's abstract, it's colors, it's shaped. And when you look into it, it's almost hypnotizing. It seems to move the way an optical illusion would, but it's just crayons and colors on paper. And he looks up at you. He has such a proud expression on his face.
He takes it. Oh, I was just gonna say he takes it and just ruffles his hair again and doesn't say anything else.
Opal takes hers and she puts it, she pins it up on the fridge with magnets. She says, "Thank you, honey. This one looks beautiful. What's that one you've drawn for your dad?"
Oh, it's for my dad. He knows what it is.
Pip's staring at it and looks up at you at that point, just with like confusion on his face.
Pip looks up at Opal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure your dad loves it.
Yeah, buddy, it's great. We should go. Go get your stuff.
Okay. And he goes into the room, gathers up his bag.
Now, the bringing up of his mother is a new one. Not that we haven't talked about her, or I mean, I've had a few. Well, we've talked about her, but that's certainly a new one.
It's normal for kids to have like imaginary friends, I guess, right? Even if they are their dead mother. Maybe he thinks he can still communicate with her.
Maybe there's a way that he still can.
I don't.
Can I see that for a second?
Yeah, he hands it over.
Yeah, I think she just kind of looks at it and turns it, and looks at it and turns it over.
Yeah, it's as soon as you turn it a couple of times, you kind of start to lose the orientation of which way might have been up originally. And it definitely has that same sort of like wibbly, multi-layered thing that like all media, especially visual media, has had for you, and then the kind of sharp and noticeable way that his drawings have had over just, you know, like store-bought paintings or whatever. But instead of having specific images and specific shapes, or like specific like representational things, like landscapes and horses and all that stuff that you usually see in the layers and, you know, like people. This one is just shifting through so many different abstract, like fractaline shapes and geometries that, you know, couldn't exist, non-Euclidean shapes, and it just seems to be shifting and moving in ways that is almost frustrating, that as soon as you see something that you might identify as like a triangle or a circle, it's not that, and then it's something else. But in this sort of representation of everything, you also see this one particular spot in the middle that no crayon wax has touched, and in it is absolutely nothing. And if and when you hand it back to Pip, it makes you think of that old dream.
Pip, I really think you should talk to your son about this drawing.
It's just drawing, Opal.
But it's not. And you know it's not.
I know that my son just lost his mother and he's going through his...
Pip, it's written all over your face.
You don't know what you're talking about, Opal. I need to
You
go.
You can't lie to an old lady. I've heard them all. I know a liar when I see one.
Well, be that as it may, Opal. I'm going to take my son home now. And I'll deal with this how I please. Okay?
She kind of holds her hands up and steps back.
And you know, before you start calling other people liars, stop lying to yourself about everything wrong in your life, okay?
There's no need to get touchy, Pip.
You started it.
Whew. I wonder why your son doesn't talk to you. I think she walks out of the kitchen and helps Flynn get his stuff together.
Yeah, and you hear a, like, I'm all ready, or yeah, like Flynn is saying, I'm all ready to go, Dad, and Opal like grabs the thing that he absolutely forgot, just like right there on the couch.
Yeah, Pip just tells like Flynn's like say goodbye to Opal, ushers him out, and I think that if Opal was to go back into the kitchen, he's left the drawing there on her counter.
Yeah, she puts it up. She puts it up on the fridge next to the other one.
All right, good, normal, healthy families.
Hey, we're talking it out.
There's no trauma here at all.
We're talking it out.
Yeah,
We're making
We're
it.
at least communicating
Yeah,
about visions and reality and
it's super fun.
moms that are not there.
I love them being like, your visions are worse than mine. You have more problems than me. You know.
Yeah, I think they're in denial.
No.
She just doesn't think they're hallucinations. She thinks they're real.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone, we're going to do another session of this so we can give these characters their due and let Taylor think up some very good things to really spook us with. Because it's good existential horror and dread, you know, so it's gonna be good. But for right now, we can go around and do our outros, and everyone can hop off and go to sleep because it is very late. Taylor, starting with you.
I am Taylor. I am at Taylor_CS on Twitter. Also at Whimsy Machine, where I publish games such as this, Deep Dark Deathlike, which you can get on Gumroad. That's gum.co/Deathlike, or on DriveThruRPG. Just search Whimsy Machine. You'll find it. Yeah, and then I will be back here on the 23rd to run monsters and other childish things. And then back at another potential future date to run the second half of this.
Yes, we will get it scheduled. We will get it done. Dingo, what about you?
I'm Dingo. You can find me on Twitter at Where's My Dingus. Mondays and Tuesdays I am here. Also some Wednesdays for Summer of Spooks. Thursdays I am on Indoor Adventures playing Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Ghosts in the Salt, blah, blah, blah. Fridays I am on Off the Table playing Sanguihona, The Claiming. Very fun. Urban Shadows. Yeehaw. That's it.
Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave. You can find me on Twitter at ccdash2224. If you want to see me be a player, you can tune in to twitch.tv/off_the-table on Fridays at 7 p.m. EST, where you can see me playing the Urban Shadows, the Claiming game, playing Mavash the Dragon. If you want to see me run games, you can tune in on Monday nights on this channel to see Monster of the Week City's Edge, where a couple of kids just unlocked a glowing red door that was prophesied about. If you want to see more superhero action, though, tune in on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST for Masks Planned Obsolescence, where Katie is still a villain.
I blasted my robo boyfriend last night. And not in a good way.
Not blasted.
Summer, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me you can find me when I don't know when anything is suddenly. Katie, when is our next game? Next Saturday?
Yeah.
You can find me here every other Saturday for 3 more Saturdays playing Cthulhu Dark with Katie. I guess you'll find me back here whenever we do the second half of this. You can find me soon, ? Over on Dylan's channel, Anaris here on Twitch, playing some Ryutama, and then hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be back with From Dust, which is Dungeon World. I just do production for our lovely Urban Shadows shows over on Off the Table, so you can follow our Twitter off_the-table, or if you're interested in whatever I happen to be doing, you can find me at Just a Summer Job on Twitter.
I just realized that this whole time, and no one's told me in chat, that Summer's Twitter username is not hers, and it's Where's My Dingus.
What?
And the overlay's wrong with
the
our
overlay
Twitter name?
is wrong, yeah.
You know, that's actually not a huge deal because you can just follow Dingo and that's fine too.
It's and what's worse is it's spelled incorrectly under you, but spelled right on Dingo.
How's it spelled under her? How is it spelled under me?
Where's my dingus?
It's worse.
Where's my dingus?
It's really late.
Where's my dingus?
I think the worst part is you asked us, like, does this look okay?
I know. I asked all of you, hey, check this
I
for
just
me.
glanced and was like,
I honestly, I saw the squares in it and I was like, oh, there's 5 squares. That's probably right.
That's about as many of us as there
But
are.
in fact, is that people were watching and actively chatting, and no one said anything.
Because everybody just is like, oh, she must have changed it to Where's My Dingus?
my dingus?
In tribute to my favorite Twitter name.
A favorite dingus.
But we have to go see if that handle is available. Or
I'm Katie. You know where to find me. I'm here throughout the week. I will be on Off the Table tomorrow and Friday. I have stuff going on Saturday. We'll be back here for Summer of Spooks for the spooky D&D series starting up. But yeah, hope everyone had a great night. Get some rest and enjoy. If you celebrate the holiday tomorrow, enjoy it. Have fun. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.